Hey guys, I have good news.
What?
Urban city-dwelling raccoons are beginning to show early signs of domestication.
Oh.
Their snouts are getting shorter, which is a telltale feature of our pets and other domesticated animals.
Really?
Yeah, they're relying on us, and they're physically changing.
I gotta tell you though, it's still uncanny when I'm like walking down the street and there's like a trash panda and it just like looks at me.
Oh.
And I look at it and I think, this isn't natural. You're supposed to be afraid of me. You are not supposed to just kind of lumber towards me.
And it's got those little hands.
They have thumbs.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in like there's a couple places in Golden Gate Park where there's just herds of them? And in the springtime when they have babies, you'll be walking down the path and all of a sudden there'll be just like 20 trash pandas just there staring at you, just going.
Not quite. I was near Golden Gate Park one time at night and I was hanging out, like
Willis,
talking
we're
to
out
a
of focus.
friend by like their car because we were getting ready to like, part ways after taking a walk. And they were like eating snacks. And all of a sudden we just see in the background like these trash pandas amass and start just like heading in our direction. And I'm like, dude, either we got to end our conversation or we have to take it inside your car because I think they want the snacks.
Were they like, yo, you're in the wrong hood?
It
This
was
is our
very
turf.
strange to see that kind of quote gang activity in the outer Richmond.
So the takeaway on this is a Scientific American article. The title is
Who reads
Raccoons.
science?
I love science.
Oh.
Raccoons are showing early signs of domestication. Was posted on November 14th, and like they literally talk about it that like the raccoons are evolving to get better at digging through trash, but also to reduce aggressiveness. So because like that's not a
that's
survival
good.
trait.
Yeah.
So this is their theory. The theory watching the raccoons is that this is what happened to dogs and cats too. Is the dogs and cats started out by digging through our garbage because if there's one thing that humans are great at, it's making trash. And then
I'm always making trash.
As a result, the ones that weren't aggressive about digging through the trash, the chill ones, got a breeding advantage because they had free food, and then the ones that were aggressive, less so.
Wait,
and
what's
here we go.
What's the name for a group of raccoons?
Oh, I used to know this. Is it a robber?
Elena, you're the word person. No?
I'm actually a very terrible word person. I was actually saying this to a friend where when I'm not around other word people, I sound like I have a great vocabulary. But when you actually put me with others like me, it's very apparent very quickly that I am bottom percentile.
Okay.
Well, I would argue that I'm bottom percentile. I think you're still.
According to animalsinenglish.com.
Wait, what is that website?
Animalsinenglish.com.
Animalsinenglish.com.
Animalsinenglish.com. Look, I'm not saying this was made by a machine.
This is fake news.
A brace of raccoons, a gaze of raccoons, a mask of raccoons. That seems not.
No,
wrong,
there's got to be.
right?
There's got to be
A
one answer.
nursery of
Brace
raccoons.
of raccoons?
That
That make it sound like they're inanimate objects.
Yeah.
I mean, a brace.
That doesn't make
you could say
sense.
something's a brace. Okay.
Go to a trusted source.
Okay. How about
Like
Reddit.com?
Oxford English
Hold on. Reddit.com/r/trash
Reddit. There you go.
pandas.
Perfect.
A gang of raccoons?
Wow, that
according to
is a
Davina?
buttload of raccoons.
A
A
dumpster
mischief of raccoons. A felony of
There's
raccoons.
got to be like isn't there like there's one
I
definition?
think it's a felony.
a
A felony.
a squad.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
a posse.
That's a bad
I
start.
like felony.
Okay.
I could get behind that one.
Yeah. Hey, we're here with the pre-show
Yeah.
with the Full Nerd podcast. We're going to talk about tech, but I want to talk about something that I know Elaine is going to appreciate, and that is physical magazines.
I love physical magazines.
I have a physical magazine here.
Hey.
I got to send it to
Oh
me
my
brand
goodness.
new in
What-
the mail.
It's in like a keeper bag.
Even has a certificate of authenticity. So I signed up
Who signed that?
for Frank Cifaldi at the Video Game History Foundation.
okay.
He has a service where so Video Game History Foundation, so people who don't know, it's a place for researchers to have a place to research video games.
Well, they
history.
say
I don't know.
they do archival work on both games and like games, like supporting
Yeah.
publication for games. So
But-
they have a big collection of like Comdex and CES and E3 trade pubs and stuff like that.
Ephemera
Yeah,
and
stuff that-
magazines.
yeah.
So they have a library. You can actually go to their library in Emeryville, like it is open to the public now. Anyway, they're always getting like trying to get new issues. They scan them for digital archives, stuff like that. Anyway, they have so many extra issues of magazines laying around that they started this program where you can sign up for a certain amount of money a month and they will send you just a random issue of some gaming magazine.
Yeah.
You have some like handles on, you could say, magazines from any time period or magazines from 2000 onward or
English
magazines
language.
for before. I don't remember if I saw it. I mean, it's not a ton, but I was like, send me a random magazine every month from post 2000, and this is what I got.
Isn't that a GamePro is a I find IGG product, right?
I thought it was funny. So this is the GamePro issue 185 from February of 2004. And yes, GamePro is actually a brand that our company still owns. It was a fine IDG product. Now it's Foundry.
Wait, does it belong to us?
It's
though?
still
'Cause we got all split up.
No. In Europe, the rights went away, but in the U.S. we still have rights. I just talked to our
Okay, and they belong to us on the consumer side, yeah.
Yeah, so we still own them. I mean, we don't do anything with it, obviously, but I was never a GamePro reader back in the day. Were either of you guys, any of you guys GamePro readers?
No, the GamePro was for nerds, man. I was GM all the way.
Wow.
I had one or two issues just randomly.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have a certain magazine that you preferred
For
for games?
I forgot what was the other ones that were.
There's
out?
EGM.
GamePro,
That was mine. Yeah.
Nintendo Power, OPM, OXM.
Yeah, I didn't
Game Fan.
I didn't frequently subscribe to those magazines, but yeah, I did had a few issues of Nintendo Power, GamePro. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I think.
Elena, what was your magazine intake back in the early 2000s?
Early 2000s?
Yeah, this is because it's
I
from
think I
2004.
Like Ranger Rick or something, probably.
Wow.
I think I had kind of given up. There was actually a
not
period
even
where
really
I
playing.
actually
Yeah, no.
stopped playing games.
What?
And that was like right around the era. Yeah.
Wow.
Dang.
It was because I was dealing with them all day at work. And so it's kind of like one of
Wow.
those things where you just like tired of it. You just like, for me, it just kind of turned me off from it for a while.
I get it.
There was the thing that surprised me about going to work at Future is that every single person in that company read Entertainment Weekly every single week. And I don't like in 2000, Entertainment Weekly was the hot biz for people who made magazines because they were really excited about what Entertainment Weekly was doing in terms of format. The other one, and this is one, I'm going to out John Phillips here. John Phillips loved an Us Weekly back in the day.
I can see that.
Like just lifting design ideas
Really?
and feature ideas. Like we used to talk about Celebrities Are Just Like Us, which was the classic Us Weekly column back in the day.
Yep.
For non-Americans, Us Weekly is like a trashy celebrity gossip magazine.
Oh, Game Informer. That's the other.
And Us Weekly, like they would do pictures that were like Ben Affleck goes to the grocery store and gets groceries just like us.
Yeah.
And he'd be wearing
he gets broccoli
they'd
and
have-
zucchini.
J-Lo out walking down to the bodega, getting wearing a pair of slouchy sweatpants and like a hood. And,
We should do that too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Lisa Sue, just like us.
Yeah, just
We
like
get,
us.
Get a photo of her at the grocery store.
Yeah, just go down to your
Jensen
favorite
Wong.
coffee
Well,
shop.
actually, he already does that. He goes to night
And
markets
that-
and stuff.
Yeah.
Is how we all get restraining orders placed on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so yeah, once again, I was never a GamePro reader, but I got this in the mail, and I got to tell you a couple things. Number one, I do miss magazines.
I love magazines.
Like I read this thing front to back, even though it's from 2004,
Yeah.
and it like none of this is new. Obviously now
Okay.
I have some understanding in hindsight, but it was really fun to just sit back and just read through it. Look at,
What was the hottest take?
Well, it was
2004.
so this was like, even though the cover story is about NFL Street, like this was the it was January, I think is what it was. Oh no, it was the February issue, but they were essentially giving their best ofs for 2003. So it was really interesting to hear everyone's like best of game in 2003.
What was this? There was a picture there of some guy jamming two fingers up his nose.
That was WarioWare.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
that
one of
makes
the
sense.
best
Yeah.
WarioWare. Yeah.
Yep.
That was 2004.
That's
Well, it was
very-
one of the
that's-
WarioWares.
It was the GBA one, probably.
GBA, yeah, because the GBA was pretty
Hot.
new. Anyway, they also had a section. They had a section on PC games. And so I was like,
the
oh,
personal
this is
computer.
kind of funny. Yeah, I was not a PC gamer back in the day.
This is 2004 would have been Steam had just kind of launched, and like the main place you went to buy games was in the seedy corner at the back of a Walmart.
But this was, I think this was written late 2003. because of February.
Yeah, usually figure 3 months behind the.
Yeah, so there's no mention of Steam anywhere here, but they did have a lot of ports. One of them being Deus Ex Invisible War, which they gave an Editor's Choice Award.
I love that game. I think I was the only person who liked that game at Future.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was surprised reading this that like and I don't know who these people are. The like they used to not have actual names. And like this was reviewed by D-Pad Destroyer.
Yeah. Yeah. They had handles.
Pseudonyms. Is that
it wasn't good.
Yeah. So I don't know who it was who reviewed this. But yeah,
that's fun.
It was a glowing review. They also had the port for Star Wars
KOTOR.
Knights of the Old Republic,
Oof.
which did worse than Deus Ex, which was funny.
That the
Far Cry was a preview.
Oh, Far Cry that was a good Far Cry.
Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines preview.
Yeah,
Painkiller.
Splinter Cell, man.
No. These are reviews for the N-Gage. Yeah, so
or is that the PSP?
No, this is the N-Gage.
That's the N-Gage. The thing I liked about GamePro is in the 90s they would review arcade games, and I always
review arcade.
We have friends like Dan Emmerich worked there for a long time. Cat Hawk, Paul Kurthways, all those ex-Future people now spread across the world. I always was curious how they did. Like, did they go down to arcades? Did they like ship them arcade units to the shop, and they had them all set up downstairs here somewhere? Like, I wonder what the mechanics of reviewing arcade, or did they fly them someplace because that was easier?
You said that was the 90s?
That was the 90s.
Man,
like, they would review like NFL Blitz and NBA Jam and stuff like that.
That's a good question.
It's wild to me.
I got to say, senior editor, one of the senior editors, Dan Emmerich. But they once again they don't tie the actual name of people writing the articles to the masthead here.
At some point, there was pictures, like caricatures of the characters, and you could tell who they were by the pictures.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't like GamePro was always weird. We always kind of like it was a bit too personality driven for us. Back in the day.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. I miss this. This and it's in great condition. It's just it felt nice.
I will just say I can't hate a publication that gave us the term pro tip.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh, that's where it comes from?
That's where pro tip comes from.
What?
Because it's a game pro tip.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
That's the lore, at least.
That's what I've always heard as well.
Dang. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Friend of the show, Sabashito, says they probably just had a super gun and the arcade boards. That is actually probably it. Yeah. So they probably shipped them the boards in the mail and then they plugged it into a Blink cap.
Yeah. Anyway, it was fun. If you're interested in supporting, game history and preservation, check out Video Game History Foundation. Not sponsored. I appreciate it. I've actually been talking to Frank. Would love to have him on at some point. But
so you're going back to physical magazines. Would you ever go back to physical media like for games? Because I know
you're vinyl. I've got plenty of that.
Well, not vinyls, video games.
I
know you're a digital guy, but
I have actually. So I sold all of my physical media or physical game collection.
Wow.
I moved around a lot. At some point it's like, oh, you know what? If I'll just buy this back. It can't be that expensive to ever buy something back, And then the pandemic hit, and I'm like for Halloween, our local game place, the Experience Share in Alameda, I love that place. They had like all of the Silent Hill games, and like all of them were over $300, and I was just like, I had multiple copies of some of these, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm slowly but surely buying back pieces here and there, but some of these are so expensive. It's just like,
Yep.
Which in some good case though, it's stopping me from like just becoming a collector, and like I'm having to very pick and choose. Okay, I'm only going to buy games that really meant something to me that I want to have a physical copy of.
There you go.
Because back in the day, I was like, one of those people who's like, oh, maybe I'll start just buying all the games that I can and holding on to all of them. And
that's how you end up. That's how you end up having storage units.
Yeah, I don't remember how many PS2 games I had at the time, but it was probably approaching like 1,000.
Everybody I know.
Wow.
And it wasn't even that good.
Everybody I know who has like game collections. Like I have a couple of friends who have complete NES and SNES collections and stuff like that.
Wow.
Just hundreds of games. They all have multiple storage units. You're like, hey, do you have a copy of blah, blah, blah? And he's like, yeah, but I have to go to the storage unit in San Jose. I'm like, oh, no, never mind. It's not worth that.
Yeah, it's just every time I go to that place, I'll take a picture of a game that I'm like, I used to own that. Like they had a box copy of Super Metroid.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the condition of the box was recently. Maybe I took a photo of it, but yeah, it was a couple
Was it
$100.
graded? Yeah.
It wasn't graded. No, it was a couple $100, and I was just like, I used to have that.
Will, I'm curious about your friend's storage unit. Is it like very well organized and categorized?
Depends on the friend. They vary wildly. Jeff Grossman, who of Giant Bomb and now the Jeff Grossman Twitch channel and Patreon, like when he moved down south, cleaning out his garage was like a 6-month. Like he just streamed him cleaning out his garage. It was amazing because he would pull out stuff and he'd be like, "Oh, here's a flyer from E3 2004 in Atlanta where, you know, blah 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 that he had just like chucked in a box when he got back from E3." And yeah, but then we have some other friends. A friend of the show, Steve Lynn, has very organized storage. He has everything in tubs. It's really like
Tubs.
Yeah, he's
tubs.
You know,
well,
super tidy guy.
Well, here we go. What if we come up with Full Nerd the magazine?
Oh yeah,
we take what Elena writes every week, we make a podcast out of it, and then we make a zine out of it.
Yeah,
Is it zine or zine?
But you can say it however you want.
Zine.
People-
Yeah. Then
But that's
really?
a different thing.
I always said zine too.
I always said
True.
zine.
Well, but it's a printed physical media.
Magazine.
So yeah, if you want to see a printed edition of
Hey, can I borrow that magazine
Elena's
you have
new-
over there?
magazine?
I want to borrow your magazine.
Magazine.
No, it's magazine.
I always
It's zine.
said zine.
The hell's wrong with you people?
Magazine.
No. Yeah, I always said zine back
Oh my
in the
god.
It was supposed to be. So here's the thing. Here's my argument for it, Will. That this was a thing that Gen X was doing, and it was supposed to like push the envelope and be edgy and different. So
Yeah.
why would you use the same pronunciation?
day.
Look, I was drinking my OK Colas and my Surges. I was
And your Zima?
drinking my Zima. yeah.
No.
No, I never drank the
Original
Zima
Four
once.
Loco.
Look, no. There's no caffeine in Zima.
No, I'm saying, but you.
Oh, the OG.
Yeah,
Four
the
Loko. That
OG
was a
4
2000s
Loco.
thing. That wasn't
Okay,
a
well,
90s thing.
whatever.
But anyway.
Anyway, yeah. If you want that, if you want Elena's newsletter / the zine / the podcast, let us know. We're taking requests. She's so excited to do it. Anyway,
Yeah, so you're saying she has a newsletter of the podcast, and now we're going to make her make a podcast of the newsletter of the podcast.
Yep.
And now you want to make a zine of the podcast of the newsletter of the podcast.
yes,
do it.
exactly. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
So,
I think.
I mean, we have a
100%.
printer here. We could just, like
Yeah.
Gorilla,
Yeah.
just like print
I mean,
off.
that's actually how
the
they were
newsletter.
done.
See?
You would just
Yeah.
you would fire up, what was it, Microsoft Publisher or whatever
Or
it was?
the other one. The one started with an A. If you had a Mac.
I don't remember that. I was not a Mac person.
Quark Express.
No. Quark
No,
Express
that was like
expensive.
fancy professional software.
It was like Aldous
these were very
PageMaker or something. I
homebrew.
think
Yeah.
PageMaker was the one that we always used.
Oh.
Or honestly, what we usually did was we would print something out in Word in narrow columns, and then we would cut it out and tape it onto a bigger piece of paper, and then fold.
You mean like actual old school print?
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
see,
Layout?
I think
Amazing.
Elena could have fun with this. And actually, look at this. Pure Track 06 says, I need a signed copy. So then every week you can sign a certain number of them.
Yeah.
And we ship them out to,
gosh.
people who are willing to. So look at this. It's a print money. Anyway, we should.
Zine.
Yeah. We should start the show, Zine. We should start the show and let's get it going.
Back in my day.
Yeah. Back in my day.
Back in
Anyway,
my
how are the hamsters?
Hamsters running pretty well.
Like no issues at
surprisingly.
all.
No issue at all.
Maybe that's wild.
That must be a
it's
bad
steady.
port.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah.
Hamster, be well, please.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
there are
We
any
feed them?
dropouts in the stream, let us know because we're still having issues.
Yeah, we'll tell you about it, Elena.
Anyway,
later.
We've been through some business
Oh
back
no! Did you find out that you weren't feeding the hamsters, and that's why they were all sad?
They turned into raccoons.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
But the
hamsters are,
domesticated ones.
that-
so
that's-
they're
the
nice.
hamsters are not domesticated.
that's the evolution
dang
of hamsters. They'll
There you go.
evolve into raccoons.
Eventually, they murder you.
All right.
All right, yeah,
I'm ready.
We're
Let's
good.
do it.
Let's do it.
Also, by the way, I'll say it in the intro. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Go for it.
Ready? All right. In this episode of The Full Nerd, we talk. No, we're not. I thought I had it. I was trying to roll with it. It didn't work. Yep. Slow clap.
slow clap.
Thank you.
was a sarcastic
It's almost
slow
the end
clap,
of the
just
year.
to be clear.
Okay, here we go. In this episode of The Full Nerd, we answer all of your questions. And believe me, we've got a lot of them. And welcome everyone to episode 374 of the Full Nerd Podcast, the weekly podcast about DIY PC building topics. I am the fill-in host, Adam Patrick Murray, but I'm not alone. We will be joined by one co-host, Brad Charkis. He has very important meetings to get to, so he's going to show up a little bit late. So, we got to stall, give some time. But on the line, we also have one Elena E. Hello, Elena.
That's me, filling the entire screen.
Filling the entire screen and hopefully filling our mailboxes with new hot new zines delivered straight to your door.
Stop that.
Check the pre-show for what we're talking about. Anyway, sitting right next to me here on the chair in the flesh, we got through the traffic of Microsoft Ignite here in downtown SF is one Will Smith.
Can I tell you what happened?
Yes. You already did.
Smooth. I know, but I'm telling them. It's like there's an artifice here. 20 minutes, normal time it takes me to get here from my house, right?
Spoilers.
I got to the street that the office is on, which is 2.5 blocks from the San Francisco Giants ballpark. 20 minutes. I turn left on that street. 25 minutes to go 2.5 blocks. I could have belly crawled. I could have done the worm up the sidewalk faster than I drove. And do you know why it was?
You should have.
Do you want to know why it was? Why the problem was there?
Well, Microsoft Ignite is the major reason, but
the problem was every Waymo in San Francisco, hundreds of them, were turning left, were turning right and left onto 2nd Street. And they were, every time there was a gap in traffic, like 4 Waymos would jam in there. And so nobody was able to go through any of the lights on 2nd Street. Like you would get maybe one car through every other light. Locusts. They're locusts.
The tip. Here's the tip about Waymos that I figured out the other day, just watching one go up
where to
Franklin
firebomb them effectively?
No, they are actually very, how's the best way to put this? They are very anti-confrontational. So if you get within a certain proximity of their sensors, they're not as aggressive. And so I was like going for probably a mile behind a Waymo on Franklin Street, which in San Francisco is this like long, like not quite a main thoroughfare, but it's a pretty like long stretch that just has a decent amount of traffic. And it had the right blinker on for ages. But because I think the car in the other lane was just within its like no-go zone, it wouldn't go over. And there would be a couple times where like there would be enough space that would open and it would start to drift and that car would come up closer because the car was going to let it in, right? But it was like, oh no, I'm going to cause an accident. So it would just back off. So the moral of this story is until they change their algorithm, Will, you just need to be like, just get right in there.
But right in there.
But like, there was no way to get in. There were 20 cars in front of me, and you'd get like one car through the light every other time.
Just be the most New York you can be about this.
I should have just driven into the protected bike lane and driven up on the sidewalk and just bypassed the whole thing.
No, actually, like Oakland.
I don't get road ragey ever. But this one was hard. This one was the angriest I've been in a car in a long time.
So
like the light would turn on the cross street, and like 18 Waymos would turn right off of that street to go up and pick up these Ignite people coming to talk about how great
we're dropping them
off.
Is.
Yeah.
You were trying to go left.
No,
right?
I was trying to go straight.
Sorry.
Straight.
I was just trying to go
straight up 2nd Street.
Yeah.
And
you're coming
all
up
the right
2nd
turners
Street.
and left turners were filling all of the available space on 2nd Street.
Yeah.
Because I was coming up 2nd Street from the ballpark.
It kind of hit us too.
Crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of road rage, we got one Willis Live. Control the verticals and horizontals.
Whoa, hey there. I'm actually a pretty good driver. I have not had a single ticket for the life of me.
Whack some wood there, Willis. Because I know what you guys do. I know your casual relationship with the law. I'm not going to say where you have.
Hey, if you don't get caught, you're not doing anything wrong,
That's a
right?
very boomer attitude.
Tree falls in the woods, nobody hears it, whatever. Anyway, we have a jam-packed episode full of questions. Number one, it's a quiet news period, so that too. But number two, I looked at the questions channel. I was like, wow, we've got a lot of questions. A lot of this stuff is stuff we've talked about in previous weeks, but people want to keep asking it, so let's keep answering it. And like I said, Brad will be coming in a little bit later, but until then, we're just going to answer some questions. My first one is something somebody already brought up in the chat, but Liquid R, friend of the show, Liquid R, put it in Discord earlier, said, if Half-Life 3 is included with the Steam machine, does that color your thoughts on pricing? Number one, is Half-Life 3 coming out anytime soon?
Yes, maybe.
my question.
Who
Yeah, you
knows?
really think so?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I know there was that leak, or not the leak, but the people combing the database,
Yeah.
right? And they're seeing reference to some unannounced game.
Yeah.
Is it Half-Life 3?
There have been rumors of them starting and stopping Half-Life 3 so many times at this point that, like I don't know that there's anybody that cares about Half-Life 3 in 2025, right?
I'd play it.
Are we so far along?
Why
Have you
not?
played Half-Life 2?
Yeah. I actually just loaded up on my Steam Deck.
Willis, have
recently
you ever
again.
played Half-Life 2?
I
I've played
have
it
never
so many
finished
times.
Half-Life
Will
2.
just coming in hot. this
Elena, have
week.
you played Half-Life 2?
Well, I'm a big wussy, so I don't count on that regard.
Uh-huh.
But
Wussy. What is
Wow.
that?
I will say there are probably a very non-zero number of people listening to this podcast wondering what's wrong with you right now.
I have played, not only have I played Half-Life 2 a lot, I have also played Episode 1 and Episode 2.
I've played all of those as
Yeah,
well. I'm just
yeah.
playing Devil's Avocado here.
Oh,
I just
okay,
don't
yeah.
think I don't think like they tried this. They tried this. When the Index came out, they had Half-Life Alyx queued up and ready to go. Alyx came out a couple months after the Index shipped. It was not a system seller. Like 18 people have played Alyx.
I mean, but I think that's, like, there are people who are just inherently against VR. For whatever reason, maybe
Yeah,
they
but
they can't be in it, or like, so
That's fine.
I don't think this is a 1-to-1. We're talking about here like releasing maybe with a console that you put in your TV.
I would love for that to happen. I would love to be able to play Half-Life 3. I want to know what happens to Alex Vance's dad. I mean, he died at the end of the second episode, I guess. Spoilers for the 20-year-old game.
Spoilers.
Wow.
But like, it's been 20 years since one of those came out, right? We're through the looking glass here.
Yeah. Well,
They
I
should
don't
just
know,
reboot
Will.
the whole thing.
well, so you're
I don't
saying
know.
video game companies don't like to bring back old
Well,
franchises.
first they have to make Half-Life 1 remastered because like the Black Mesa thing came out, it
That was
kind of
pretty good.
remastered Half-Life
was
1, which
good.
was good, worth playing.
Yeah.
And then, but they need to up that now and add like ray tracing and all the latest biz to it. And then they need to remaster Half-Life 2 to make the physics good because the physics is a little wobbly in the modern context. And then, then they can remaster the episodes, and then they can make Half-Life 3.
Oh no, I like this comment by my Mirador. I don't know how to say it.
Mirador.
Yeah, orange skin for the Steam box. Bundle it with New Val Games Orange Box 2. Wow, I am in. Boom, take
I would-
double my money.
Look.
Orange Box, man, I loved the Orange Box.
Orange Box is good.
That was like one of my favorite memories of the Xbox 360. Is
I
just
reviewed-
getting
I
Orange
reviewed
Box and just like
wow, Xbox
oh.
360 though.
Yeah, I
That's
played
unfortunate.
TF2 on the Xbox 360.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
really weird.
It was awesome.
Deeply perverted.
Wait, what, Elena?
Elena's making a face.
Yeah.
for
You're
audio
withholding
Oh, I'm
an
making
opinion.
faces, but it's not
Yeah.
for you. It's not for you.
that's
It's for
true.
Will.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Look,
good.
this morning I woke up. I'm going to go and tell
Silence.
you. Last night I got some espresso chip ice cream from the grocery store, and I was like, I'll have some ice cream. And then I ate the ice cream, and I was like, oh, this is a mistake because there's little bits of coffee beans in there.
What time did you do this?
Oh,
About 10.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah. So
All right.
the hot take dial is
I
set
didn't
all the
sleep
way
well-
to
I didn't
11
sleep
right
well
now.
either, so,
a
yeah.
little bit, I would say, because here's the thing: when you were talking about who revives the franchise after X number of years, my first thought was, well, I can't say it was done well, but there's one little franchise called Star Wars. Oh, nice head roll, Adam. That was well done.
Your rebuttal, Senator.
I think people would be really excited about a Portal 3. I think people would be really excited about a Half-Life 3. I think that the people that will be really excited about Half-Life 3 out of the gate are all the olds who have a lot of money to spend on hardware. So it would be a great idea for them to release this. But I also don't think that they could have a Half-Life that's close enough to release that wouldn't have leaked in some way.
Also, I can't remember who I was explaining this to, but I feel like Valve isn't a company that would try to line up the development cycle of a major game and the development cycle of a piece of hardware. Like to hit that perfectly, like somebody's going to be lacking. Like Valve was always just like, release this when it's ready.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they would be like, oh, let's hold this one till this one's ready, or let's hurry and rush this one. Yeah. So
Well,
like,
I mean,
No, I don't think so either.
yeah.
they could have the game done. The game could be sitting done on a server someplace, and they're just like, oh, well, okay, let's get the hardware ready now.
I mean,
Let's go.
Yeah, I guess, but
I
don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Lewis Law, friend of the show, Lewis Law has it right. Clone Wars series most interesting, and that was in that 20-year gap that you cited that didn't exist.
Boom.
So yeah, there you go.
Love it. Okay. Rebuttal, Senator? No? Okay. So we have a question from friend of the show, Great Mighty Daddy. Serious question about Valve's recent announcement of Steam hardware. Do you think they'll sell exclusively through Steam, or do you think they'll go through other channels like Amazon, Best Buy, Micro Center, and so forth? It may give better exposure to these products. That is a good question. I don't think they will.
Could you buy the Index anywhere but on Steam?
That's a good, yeah. Because could you buy any of their hardware, like Steam Link or the Steam controller?
Yes, GameStop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't think that worked out that way well for them.
GameStop was not just a internet stonks meme.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but well, I mean, look, you got to buy your Funko Pop someplace, okay? Nobody's going to send those in the mail. It's shameful.
Yeah, so there was a period, I want to say like maybe 7 years ago, where no one was really buying the Steam Link. So Gordon self-appointed himself as the rescuer, liberator of Steam Links. And you remember this, Adam, when they were like $5 on sale, he just stocked up, and we kept asking him, because this is when we all worked in the office together, so we actually could see him and see the shipments, and we were asking, what are you doing with all those? He's like, I'll just give them away as like stocking stuffers. And Gordon was the type of guy where you couldn't always be 100% sure if he was serious or joking, and you knew the answer lay somewhere between the two.
Oh, you know, Glenn got a Steam Link for Christmas one year.
Or two, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, here's one for the living room and your office.
Yeah.
Hold on. Side note. Or do you have an answer for?
Yeah, I was going to say
the Index sell?
The Index didn't sell anywhere else.
Okay.
The Micro Center sold the Steam Deck for a minute, but kind of in we're clear some stuff out or something.
Interesting.
My bet is it has to be through Steam, because like it doesn't give them there's no benefit to them reaching people. I mean, actually, there is benefit to them reaching people who aren't on Steam, but presumably anybody who's on Steam, that like they'll have to sell it for more. Like if it's a zero margin product, they're not going to sell it through Best Buy, because that means they're losing money on everyone that they sell at that point. If they sell it at the same price at Best Buy that it's on Steam.
Good point. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
And it's also logistically more complicated too, right? Because then you have to establish the partnerships. You have to, get the product from, your facilities to the retailers. So there's all that comes into play as well. And Valve, I mean, they're not a tiny company, but they're not a huge company either. So I think that, that my guess is that it's just easier for them to sell direct, or at least manage it directly.
The other thing is, when you buy something from Steam, hardware from Steam, something that costs more than a video game, all of a sudden you have an infinite number of Steam points, because they convert at the same rate that they do for $40 games.
Yeah. I'm set for life.
Yeah. So like if you want to give take my points emotes to people who have nuclear bad takes in the Steam forums, you're ready to go there, man. Just let them rip. Or you could or alternately, you can have all of the wallpapers for your Steam Deck.
Oh no, I have all of those already, and it did not make a dent in my.
Oh. Yeah, no, I know.
I'm going to back up. I should have started with this. Elena, you weren't here last week. What is your take on the Steam Machine? Is it a console?
Didn't read my newsletter last week.
Actually, I did. I'm just, please.
Artifice, Elena, artifice.
Sorry, I'm apparently too honest of a person sometimes. I think that this is a very interesting period that we're interesting, maybe in air quotes, that we're living in, because so much of what we previously took for granted and had just kind of operated for years, decades even, is so up in the air right now. And so, I mean, I think you can really trace a lot of this to the pandemic, because the pandemic really developed a sense of the PC and PC gaming in people who didn't really care before. Because before, like, I don't know if this actually made it into the newsletter, because I actually ended up having to cut a lot. It was a long newsletter this time. I had a lot to say. But in the old days, the divide between console and PC was much wider. And there's a lot of reasons. There was several reasons for that, at least, right? And there's something about the pandemic where, when everyone was just sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs, watching YouTubers, not having much else to do, that it seemed to really inspire an interest in both PC gaming and therefore also PC, building. And so we had a lot of people who came over from console, because also with the pandemic shortages of being able to get goods, it was hard to get your hands on some of these consoles as well, right? So people just built PCs. And so I think it kind of, I wouldn't say bridge the gap, but it narrowed it. And then with Microsoft having done a lot of like backtracking or like stepping away rather from this idea of the Xbox is a brand that represents a hardware console, right? Or a console. And it's more of Xbox's and I like a concept for gaming, right? Like it's this umbrella. It opens up this huge or decently sized hole for something like the Steam machine and more importantly, Steam OS to fill, right? Because if you have people who like I kind of touched on this at the end of the newsletter, which is I'm actually an example of this where I actually emotionally consider myself a console gamer still. But if you actually look at what I've been playing on in the last 4 years, I'm a PC gamer, technically, which is a very weird emotional cognitive dissonance for me to feel inside, right? So I think without any any sense of hypocrisy or of what basically an oxymoron, I would still call myself a console gamer and I would probably go out and buy something like a Steam machine or roll my own. And I think that to me, it's really fascinating that this is an option, right? Like this could be an option and that Valve was never treating the first gen like a failure. They were just retrenching. And we actually talked about this on the show too, right? Like I think we had a conversation maybe like a month, maybe 2 months ago. It was like us three exactly talking about this because you were so stoked for this idea of like, hey, maybe we could get a Steam machine at some point. And Will was like, no, never. The first was a failure. They will never do it again.
What is this accent? That's
I don't know about that accent.
That was spot on.
No,
that's what I'm saying. That was spot on.
And for what it's worth, I think it was the
one.
Steam Link that I said was they were never going to do again because it was an enormous failure. No, I said Steam Machine
No,
too.
you were down on the Steam machine.
Check the tape.
But in fairness to Will, like at the time that the Steam machine launched, it was too soon. It was like one of those things that was just too soon for its time. The bridge between console and PC was too wide. Like the partners they chose didn't know what to do with it. Like, right? Because this was an Alienware Steam machine launched with Windows on it. Yeah. Like they didn't even have enough faith in it because at the time Linux gaming also wasn't where it needed to be to like really support that, right? So a lot of things had to be put in place, and it's kind of cool to see that Valve is like, okay, we know what didn't work here. Let's like go back and like build the scaffolding that we need to support the vision we have. And I always kind of suspected that they weren't going to give up on it because of how long they sold it for. Because I think if they really truly thought of it as a failure, they would not have sold it for like several years.
They 100%. Like I think what happened is they probably identified what the problem was, which was that Linux support for games, like no matter how many they sold, developers weren't going to add another, like start porting games to Linux, right? Because especially at the time, porting games to Linux was fraught. You ended up creating an infinite number of support problems for yourself. And there were going to be like 22 people playing your game on Linux out of the 150,000 people that played your game on any given month. And so like people rightfully looked at it and said, hey, this isn't worth spending money and time on if we're a small studio. And Valve said, okay, we have to fix that problem so they don't have to spend money and time on it. And then they spent 10 years making Proton good. And AMD drivers and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, we have one Falcon Northwest in the chat.
Somebody who has actual sales numbers.
Yeah. We sold so many first gen Steam machines. Please, can you give us hard numbers?
Yeah, we would love
here?
to know more. You can't actually tell from the text if you're joking or if you're serious.
No. He put a smiley face afterward. I believe he's joking.
I think we have two of them here. I'd be curious what percentage of Steam machine sales that represents. Right? Is it like 10%? Is it like 20%? Is it 4%? Two machines. Let's get some real numbers here.
Either way, I mean, I think now that we've had some time to chew on it, like I think what they're trying to do is what they did with the Steam Deck, right? Say, hey, you know what? Let's put something really entry level in a good piece of hardware. I'm not saying the Steam Deck isn't a good piece of hardware, but it's like just becomes the entry level de facto. Hey, do you want a handheld? Just get a Steam Deck. it works. Sure, there are other ones. If you want to spend more money, you get bigger features, bigger screen, detachable controllers, kickstands, whatever. Those options exist out there as well, but this is like the baseline. And you've always mentioned this from the developer side, is like it's good to have that target baseline.
Baselines are great. I love baselines.
So I can imagine that that's kind of a similar play here, right? They want to have they did talk about this isn't, people need to think of this as an entry level gaming PC. They targeted, I don't remember which interviews, but I feel like we heard from multiple people that
Pierre Lou said multiple times that they wanted.
Yeah,
they targeted the fat part of the market.
They wanted games that could run. They wanted to build hardware that could run current gen console games on that 1280 by 800 screen with reasonable perf.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about for the Steam machine too. They even said they were targeting an entry level gaming PC for the people who play vast majority of Steam games, which is real lightweight kind of things.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the big thing that everyone's waiting for is the price. Like they weren't ready to talk 100%. About it. Yeah, and I don't know, like last week I was definitely of the opinion of like, man, I can't see them going under $800. My guess is $800. But like I've heard a lot of chatter and a lot of people being like, this thing's dead on arrival unless it's under $500. Like I don't.
Well, I think
under $500.
I think that's a wishful thinking comment right there. Well, not you, but the what you're quoting.
Yeah, it's also like people looking at the specs and being like, oh well, you can build a comparable PC for over $500, like $800. Like it's going to get wasted. I think it's also missing the idea of just no, you're just buying a piece of hardware, you plug it in, it's done. But whatever. Like Elena, what do you think the price needs to be at? But then also, what price do you think it's going to hit?
So actually, it's so funny that you mentioned this about comparable builds, because Mike Kreider, who everyone on the show knows, our colleague Mike Kreider, and I were actually talking about this yesterday over one of our staff chats, and it was kind of interesting to see his approach to it, because I think he was trying to go for this idea of like a direct build. Like, can you actually reproduce it, and how much would it cost you? And is it going to be, better or cheaper? Like how you're bringing up from, I guess, maybe the internet comments you've seen. And for me, it's like, having done this exercise before, trying to compare a PC build to like newly launched consoles from like Sony and Microsoft, it is never a one-to-one thing. It is never a one-to-one thing. And so for me, the pricing is, I have hopes around it, and I'll get to that in a second, but I actually think the pricing is more of a indicator of how I put this, is an indicator of what Valve wants to get done with this thing, right? And my guess is that based on the interviews they've given around this like announcement and just seeing their approach with the Steam Deck, my take is that they are not going to use it as something that they're trying to attract a bunch of console gamers over. Like they still see this more as a PC for PC gamers, but I don't necessarily think that they're going to price it, especially with how storage and RAM prices are looking. I don't think they're going to price it to break even. My guess is they're going to probably eat some of the costs, and they're going to keep it, I think ideally, for me, what I would expect to see somewhere in as low, I don't know if they'd go this low, but as low as like the 600, maybe 650 range up to around 800. I think that's going to depend on the market conditions at the time and how much of a haircut they're willing to take on it. And the reason why I say this is because they're not trying to prove anything to console gamers. There's even a direct quote from one of the engineers saying that we did not think about consoles at all, which I think is kind of a lie based on how it looks and how it feels. But I understand why they would say this, right? Because you say it a certain way, and then the media is going to spin it off in a direction that you maybe don't want it to go, right? But I think for me, this, like the Steam Deck, is not about the hardware per se. If they can make inroads, they're going to. If they can make a good experience for PC gamers, they're going to. But this is a showcase for what they want to get done, right? So the Steam Deck was a more affordable way for them to show, hey, we can make Linux gaming viable. We can make this something that doesn't require a lot of thought, and you can just pick it up and go and play. And now they're going to start translating that to a desktop air quote, experience, a console, which is laying the groundwork again for the people who are very into it, the people who are likely going to be who do IT work for their friends informally and family and make recommendations of what to buy. And they're going to lay that groundwork with them, and they're going to have that money to spend on this to play with it. And then they're going to start spreading the word, because, when a Steam Deck first launched, zero interest. I had zero interest. I'm not a handheld gamer. You have talked about it so much. You have shifted my approach to it, like my thought about it. I still wouldn't get one yet, but I'm more likely to recommend it now because I hear so much about it from you, Adam. And I think the Steam machine is probably going to serve the same purpose on that living room TV side of things.
I often think about folks like Jeff Grubb over at Giant Bomb, who likes playing games, is a PC gamer, like also is very excited about the Steam Deck because it takes out a lot of the hassle of PC gaming, right? So it makes playing games on the PC accessible for people who don't want to think about video card drivers and don't want to know that they have to have the right version of Windows and all that stuff. So I think it's less about making Linux gaming accessible and more about just making PC gaming more accessible. Because there's reasonable confidence that if you go to Steam and you see that green check mark on the page, that it's going to run on your Steam Deck. Now, it doesn't always. There's return policies. It's easy to send stuff back if their process is broken. But they've done a pretty good job of making that check mark actually mean something. And it was a little rocky at the beginning, but I think it's in a pretty good spot right now. And I think that's an important part of it. And I think they're going to apply this to other stuff, including VR and the 4K experience.
And I
think this is.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just real quick, because I want to just touch on what Will said while it's still hanging in the air. I don't think we're actually saying different things.
We're not.
I think we're actually saying the same thing from slightly different angles, because I think the Linux aspect is what's going to help spread the PC gaming aspect, because it's making it so hassle free, or like less hassle.
But I think,
and so that you can put it more easily on, if you can get to a point where you put it on other systems like easily, and you don't have to worry about a Windows license or any of the drivers and that kind of stuff, then it's so to me they're like same thing. I think in lockstep.
Well, except for the place I disagree is that I think that the more like the person who doesn't care, like the person who's not us, doesn't even know that the thing runs Linux probably. Right, like you can have a really good Steam Deck experience and never ever once engage with the like Linuxy desktop side of it. It just goes into the 10-foot interface and it feels like a console that plays PC games. And I think that's the 90% experience. And then there's 10% of people who go out and install stuff like Decky Loader and Lutris and all the kind of things that let you play other non-Steam games.
I see what you're saying.
Right, like I think it's PC games first, and then Linux gives you extensibility that especially console people, but even like you weren't here last week. We talked a lot about them building this hardware ecosystem that feels very Apple-y in a lot of ways. Like the fact that you can take the SD card out of your Steam Deck and put it in your VR headset or put it in your Steam machine, and your library just carries over. Like that feels like an Apple kind of feature, right?
In the good way.
In a good, positive. Yeah. Parentheses positive, as the Gen Alpha kids say. But it doesn't. But then you don't sacrifice any of the openness to get that good Apple-y kind of shared ecosystem experience, which is kind of new for all of us, because Microsoft has tried to do that stuff for decades and has always been really bad at it. And Android, like they don't believe in ecosystems; they just sell phones. Yeah, so like it's anyway, it's really interesting. It's a good time.
Well, and
so. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're just going back and forth
please,
here.
Please. Your rebuttal center.
I am. I didn't get to talk about this last week, so I think that's why I have so many thoughts, right? So Will, I understand where you're coming from. I think when I said that this was promoting Linux gaming, I didn't necessarily mean it from the enthusiast point of view. I meant it from more of the practical side. So that's why I don't think it's necessarily that we're in opposition to each other.
I 100%
it's more that
agree.
Yeah, it's not that I'm thinking like, oh, people are going to tinker with it. It's more of like, oh, hey, like, look, this is open source. It is also license free. It is going to help the adaptation of this because of that, not because,
Well,
I'm repeating myself at this point.
And every unit sold means that more game developers look at it and are like, oh, we have to actually support this thing, which means that we'll see less things like kernel level anti-cheat or zero ring anti-cheat. That means that they don't run on Linux
Adam's crossing
and
his
all
fingers.
of this other stuff. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, and to that point, I think this will sell much better than the Steam Deck has.
because it's not a handheld.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people like you, Elena, who or there's people who have a Steam Deck that they have it just docked, which is not even a great experience either, because like, you know, it doesn't have the horsepower for TV necessarily, but people do it anyway. So a lot of people aren't interested in that form factor. So it also got me thinking. I was like,
what were you thinking about, Adam?
When the Steam Deck, you know, not much, cats, candy, USB
We're all
4
about
drives.
cats here.
Yeah. When the Steam Deck came out, we were like, oh, thank you, nerds, gummy nerds.
What?
Yeah. What is this? A gummy?
Talk about that later.
Nerds
gummy
gummy
clusters.
clusters. Yeah, they're actually pretty good, but they're spooky. Anyway, when the Steam Deck came out, we were like, wow, we can see the through line of the original Steam machine trying to bring Linux into the gaming fold, the actual like ergonomics of the Steam controller, what they learned from that, how they took it forward, all that kind of stuff. You know, we could see from a distance like it was all building towards this. And I had this idea of what if originally they wanted to get to this, but they didn't want to get there yet. They used the Steam Deck knowing that it was more niche to iron out some of this stuff, to be like, okay, now SteamOS is I mean, if you look at SteamOS when it first launched on the Steam Deck, definitely different than it is now. They've done so many quality
dramatically
of life.
better experience. Yeah.
So what if this was the goal all along, and the Steam Deck was just a stepping stone, knowing that it was going to be more of a limited audience? And here they're like, oh, okay.
I mean,
you know, that not to call like the Steam Deck like a beta test, but they knew going forward that the Steam Deck was going to help inform these decisions for a console, a set-top box.
This is the benefit of not being a public company, right? Is that they don't have to report quarter to quarter. And if they have a project that takes 10 years to complete, shareholders don't get get into the second year and are like, hey, man, where's the money? We spent $1 billion on this.
Yeah.
They also, I mean, 100% that's true. I think it's always easy to look back in retrospect. It's easy to sit in 2010 and look at Apple launching the iPod Nano and iPod Mini to drive flash media, drive demand for flash media so that they could then have enough flash media on hand to start selling billions of iPhones in 2010. Same thing for the color LCD screen that they put in the iPod 5, I think. I can't remember which one it was. But they started selling a color screen in one of those iPods and some of the iPod Nanos. And like all of that was to build supply so that when the phone hit, they actually had the worldwide capacity to manufacture that they needed to sell 1 billion phones in 2010 or 2012 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Also, on the other side, it got me thinking too, because if you look at it, I feel like this is what Microsoft is trying to do. They're trying to say, hey, you know what? We're gonna make a piece of hardware, but anyone could use anything is an Xbox. You know, like Valve isn't coming out and saying like anything can be SteamOS. They're not doing that. But essentially, I mean, you can load baked ZD, Bazite, sorry, or you know, like it's just Linux, right? So essentially, like they're kind of taking the same approach, and Valve is doing it in the way we like it, where Microsoft is like,
look, I'm running SteamOS right here. Boom.
Well, that's actually one of the things that I thought about when I was thinking about how everything shifted, right? Because Microsoft is very much just talking about things that it wants to do, but it hasn't shown anything definitive, right? And in contrast, we have Valve, who's very clearly said, hey, we're coming out with hardware. Here's the date, like approximate window of time for when you can expect it. And in their interviews, they, I think there's at least one where they said, plan is to make SteamOS available, maybe make it more compatible with like specific configurations of hardware, and then kind of, I guess, maybe like leave it to, you know, others to then maybe tinker with it for, you know, from there, right? And that is more tangible. That is much more concrete as a set of plans that, as you said, is actually executing on that vision that Microsoft has proposed, but has given us no concrete, really any details at all for what to expect or when to expect it. And that's why I think there's this actual huge opening for PC gaming to take over console gaming to at least some degree, right? Where maybe it's never going to completely kill off Nintendo's like fan base and, and basically
Nothing
like
can.
it's always
Yeah.
going to, no, I don't think, and that's the thing, like I don't think necessarily like only one can survive sort of thing. I think that the Switch will, or whatever the successors are going to be, that line will keep steaming along pretty happily. I think Sony has such inroads with PlayStation, has done a good job of not alienating its player base, that they'll steam along. But basically, to me, Microsoft is giving up its share. Like it sounds like to me that Microsoft is like kind of ceding ground, and because they're not concrete enough with what they're going to put out there, this opens up an opportunity for something like the Steam Machine to take over. Not all at once, I think, but I think if there's potential for it to kind of be like ivy, where like it starts, the tendrils start creeping in, starts taking hold, and then eventually the whole wall is covered. You know what I mean?
Well,
And I think the pricing and the experience and what Microsoft does, like all those things are going to be factors in how it plays out.
the other thing that strikes me talking about this is that Microsoft has spent the last, since Windows 8, basically telling us what we want our computers to do. And Valve is looking at, like, this feels like the other approach where Valve looks at what people want, an easier way to play PC games, and then makes the thing that makes that happen. And I like one of those much more than the other. I don't know if that's just me or if that's everyone, but like I like it when people try to make something that I'm going to be excited about and want to use, rather than tell me how I should be using
100%.
the stuff that I spend a lot of money on.
And they're doing it in such a clever way because they said that they weren't thinking about consoles when they created the new Steam Machine, the reborn Steam Machine. But those faceplates, those swappable faceplates, holy crap. Like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, when I first saw it in all black, I was like, okay, it looks like a console. That's great. It'll fit in the living room just great. I like that. It's compact, and they're going for more of like
RGB.
that fits into the living room sort of vibe. It looks basically like they took an Xbox Series X and just chopped it in half and then added the LED strip. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty decent successor already. And then someone in the video clip, the announcement clip, changed the faceplate, and I literally slapped my hands on my table, and I was like, excuse me?
Oh, bam.
I mean, look, that was the best.
Latest
want
in.
this.
She said, give me the money.
The 360
Yeah, take my
Faceplates
money.
were such a big deal
Full of
in
good
like
features.
the 2000s.
But like that faceplate swap, low key,
Hey,
one of the best things about that
PS5,
console.
there are a lot of people who buy swappable faceplates. Like I actually did for my PS5.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, when they switched the Xbox 360 design to not have the swappable faceplates anymore, they really lost some magic there, as far as I was concerned. Anyway,
Anyway,
I just want an atomic purple one. I want to get GameCube translucent purple.
translucent.
And
There's an Xbox controller that's like translucent red, and I saw it and I was like, I don't need another controller, but oh, I'm so
Yeah, you do.
tempted.
yeah.
Elena, you
so
need another
tempted.
controller.
Yeah, that was your conscience. So the other thing that I want to bring up, sorry.
I was gonna say, should we take a second question at some point? Or
no, we're taking questions.
Okay.
Sorry, they got us down the Steam Machine
Oh,
talk.
I gotta say this. So
Please.
Red Namok in YouTube chat just said companion cube skin, and that's
Yeah.
exactly also what I want.
Yeah, don't leave it. Don't leave
I
it
want
behind.
that.
So
threw it in the
the
furnace.
other thing they were talking about was they were like, hey, they were very clear of like we're trying to build a machine that is entry level. Number one,
Yeah.
to make it easy for people to get into PC gaming. Number two, we intentionally focused on specs that would hit the majority of the kinds of games that people play on Steam, which a lot of them are more lightweight and can be played, on pretty lightweight devices. But I have been hearing a lot from the PC diehards is that, oh my goodness, this thing only has 8 gigs of VRAM. This thing's why are people still selling machines with 8 gigs of VRAM?
It's because it's a
in
1080p
2026.
machine that scales up with FSR. That's why.
Yeah. Well, but like, so I feel like I've heard people trying to push back and be like, actually, this is going to hurt PC gaming because if somebody buys this for X amount of money, whatever it is, and think they're going to get a PlayStation, which who knows how powerful it's going to be, whatever, and they run into VRAM limits, then it's going to taint their experience. They're going to swear off PC gaming.
Like, here's the thing: they're never going to experience the VRAM limits because the kind of person who buys this hardware is going to hit the button and it's going to automatically load the Steam Deck preset at the appropriate resolution, and it's just going to work. That's the whole point of the thing, is that if you go into Indiana Jones and you turn it off the Steam Deck preset and you turn it up so that it uses all the VRAM, you're going to have a bad time. But if you just hit the go button, it's going to be fine.
Theoretically, yeah.
I mean, that's like when they showed this pitch and when they showed the hardware, that's the way this works.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get ray tracing. You're not going to get all the fancy bells and whistles. This is a way to play the game like you would on the Steam Deck at the resolution of your TV.
So everything's already optimized for you.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's verified, right? They have that check mark verification kind of thing to say, oh, we've tested this game. It'll run well at default settings, or it'll give you a yellow thing saying, you might need to adjust a little bit here and there, or it'll be like, we don't have compatibility. Try it out for yourself, see if it works.
Like, use the Steam Machine option if you want this thing to play your game well.
But Elena, do you think this is going to hurt PC gaming? Do you think there's going to be a contingent of people who are just going to pick it up and be like, oh, this is what PC gaming is? Oh, this isn't even as good as my PS5 Professional.
Well, I think that's where price comes into the question, right? So that's why there's a lot of things that, I'm very excited for it because there's a lot in the air that I don't know yet. And as those details become more concrete, my opinion may change. And pricing and performance are two big things up in the air that we don't know yet. And we won't know until, quote, early 2026 to find out those things, right? But before we get there, just speaking in these general terms, I think it's a little interesting when someone says something like that, because that means that person doesn't really understand why people buy consoles, why people buy things that are not configurable or don't have to be tinkered with, that just, quote, work, right? Because upscaling has been a thing on the consoles for like almost a decade at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it's
the dynamic resolution shifting started with Xbox One series.
Yeah,
right?
like they were talking about checkerboarding like ages ago, right? So, and they've been comparing pixels and all that because that's what the console gamers do, because they're trying to figure out like which one does it better, which is upscaling better, what's going to have better fidelity. And that's why PC gamers have always said like, haha, you have to do stupid things like that when our hardware just runs it. And it's like, well, yeah, but I got a console for $500 and your PC cost you $800. This is using figures from like roughly to that time. It's very different now, obviously. And so TLDR, no, I don't think it's going to ruin it, because if the upscaling is handling a lot of this stuff and you don't have to worry about things getting pushed to their max, then it's just going to play the game, which is the whole reason why you would buy a machine like this in the first place.
And honestly, I feel like it's the same thing why people would dismiss buying pre-builds. Like, if you could get a way better machine for less money if you just built it yourself. There's people out there who don't want to build themselves. There's people out there who have the disposable income, or there's the people out there who were like, oh no, I want to go through a manufacturer that is going to.
I want somebody who's got
put
my
a warranty on the whole
Yeah.
box. All that kind of stuff is the same kind of, like, to me, the
Similar.
same kind of thing applies of like, some people just want a plug and play experience, and on the PC. Has there ever been a more plug and play experience than what this seems to be?
No, because you're still going to have the Windows maintenance. You're still going to have Windows updates and driver updates and all of that stuff. So you have to have a basic level of PC knowledge. This opens up PC games. Like I said, people can buy games on Steam and play them without having to know any of the other crap, whether they're Mac users or never had a PC before. I can't imagine that there's a whole lot of people playing PC games that are in that space. Yeah. But yeah, it's also. Sorry. One more. It's also like I have a 12-year-old kid and I built a computer for her a couple of years ago. If I could have just said, hey, here's a $500 thing that'll play Sims and Roblox and the 4 other games you want to play, 100% I would do that. So then I don't have to maintain a second gaming PC.
And that's what I think this does, really, honestly. It opens up a really easy option for parents or people who want to get into PC gaming or switch from whatever they've been doing, a really easy entry point for that. And it is going to be, in theory, more self-sustaining. And I also think, not related specifically to this point, but what I was going to say is that for all the people who are complaining that this is going to, quote, ruin PC gaming, one, what's your definition of ruining PC gaming? And two, how can you complain about 8 gigs of VRAM when Steam hardware surveys show that there are a lot of people playing on integrated graphics?
Yeah.
And,
well,
all right,
please.
And I think Lewis Law and a friend in the chat also says that, you don't have to pay for multiplayer subscriptions on PC. So,
definitely,
you know,
yeah.
that's a
That was
plus
nice.
versus console, you know.
And much better deals in the
Yeah.
store too, like legendary PC deals.
Yeah.
Valve's business is selling catalog and indie games at this point, really, as much as it is selling AAA stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, it's not just about the 8 gig VRAM limit. I think the other sticking point for a lot of people is like, oh, if somebody picks this up and is like, oh man, I can't wait to play Call of Duty on console or on PC. And then it won't run.
Actually, looking at the sales data for this year, literally no one's saying that.
Well, you know what I mean. Fortnite. Okay, let's use Fortnite. You know, like
Yeah, I got bad news.
Like if they think, because consoles,
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a PS5,
Yeah.
it'll play Call of Duty, it'll play Fortnite, it'll
Yeah.
play Battlefield, it'll play all that stuff. And if they're buying this thinking it's a console, that is a sticking point.
You install GeForce
Yeah.
Now and play
It
it
is.
through GeForce Now.
Wow. Hold on, I can't play these things. It might put a sour taste
That's
in
how I
people's
should play
mouth.
Fortnite on the Linux machine.
That is the one thing that I
Actually,
do worry for the adoption of this. Like, I do know that that's going to be a limiting factor until they figure out the whole anti-cheat kernel level type stuff, right? That for people who are going to be fans of this, who end up being fans, assuming that this, you know, plays out the way that the Steam Deck does. And I think one of the reasons why we are all talking about this more positively is because the Steam Deck did lay that groundwork to put us in more of a, yeah, okay, like you executed well in that. So it seems like this probably will go better, way better than the first round. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Is that no matter how enthusiastic you are about it, if you have a friend that you're recommending this to, or if you have a kid that you're buying this for that wants to play games that aren't compatible right now with anything that's not on Windows, then yeah, it's not going to be an option, right? You're going to have to get them either a Windows machine or you're going to have to do a traditional gaming console, shall we say. And I think that's going to be the sticky spot. But as Will pointed out earlier in the conversation, this could be their way of trying to like nudge that issue along, that if you get enough adopters, that you get enough people pushing back saying like, hey, we want a way to play these games without having to, you know, give up the console, the quote console that we just bought, then maybe we'll see some change on that front.
I really think that like a lot of what the Steam Deck's goal was to remove the stink of Steam machines and Linux from the people who buy game. Yeah, right. I mean, but for real, like, I mean, I know Kelt has feelings about this. I bet people who spent $2,000, $1,500 on a Steam machine in 2015, 2016 have some real specific thoughts about how Linux gaming works with Windows games. And the Steam machine that, oh, I'm not going to buy this seems goofy, to, wow, this is actually a really great way to play video games, except for like these 5 games that use kernel level anti-cheat, is a real turn and like mission accomplished on their end. So now theoretically poised to explode. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. A couple more Steam machine questions. Friend of the show, Star Shriek, which could be Starscream, is maybe they renamed themselves.
Starstreak is Starscream's brother.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. They're the same.
Oh, same. Okay, yeah. I didn't notice that. Shouldn't it be called Steam Machine 2?
No,
shouldn't it be called the Steam Controller 2?
They're not putting any. They're not giving any opportunities for Valve Count 3 jokes on the next generation of these.
Okay, so then what's going to happen when we refer to the Steam Machine?
Just say the Steam Machine 2025.
Oh, okay.
2026.
Okay, so there might be
the
a
same thing as like Apple stuff.
Yeah.
Steam Machine Pro.
Nope.
Ultra.
Nope.
Professional.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Actually, yeah, I could see that.
Somebody else is going to make those. They're going to let the market take care of that, because
Yeah.
that's how Valve is. They're free market absolutists up there. They love the free market.
Also, I don't know where this started, but I heard a lot of people talking about calling it the Gabe Cube.
That's
Yeah,
terrible.
great. Yeah, great.
I did
Mighty
think
Dead.
that was cute.
Yeah. Do we think
That was
it
very
should have
cute.
been called the Gabe
Nope.
Cube?
Don't do that.
Put a little handle on it. Gabe's face on the plate.
Okay, 100% put a handle.
Put a handle on it.
Look,
Yeah.
I'm on team. Put a handle on everything.
I mean, you could probably 3D print it.
Like you know that old Portlandia thing
Yeah,
about
yeah.
put a bird
Yeah.
on it. I think everything should have a handle.
Yeah.
Your laptop, it would be better if it had a handle. That microphone, put a handle on it.
Put a handle on it.
Your phone,
Also an Xbox.
Look.
Put a handle on it.
I put a handle on my phone. I freaking love it. It's fantastic.
You know what you can also do?
Put a handle
pickle
on
that. No, pickle that.
No.
can
I'm
also
not
pickle
pickling my phone.
All right, let's move into something that's near and dear to Elena's heart. I wanted to get her her thoughts on this. We've kind of been talking about it already, but I want to go into it specifically. Friend of the show, Liquid R, says, instead of is Intel screwed, is the question, is Xbox screwed? Also, Borea Zero says, what's an Xbox? Liquidar also says, if the rumors of the next Xbox just being a PC is the new full screen experience with the smart move to just be install SteamOS or baked ZD on it. Bazite. So
Baziti.
sorry. Yeah.
Bazati.
Dual Boot Diaries. Yeah. So like,
don't blame that on Dual Boot
I'm
Diaries.
going to blame it on Dual Boot Diaries.
That's you. You did this.
Dual Boot Diaries, subscribe. So yeah, Elena is, I know you talked about this a little bit, but could you see a future where Xbox is just screwed, where they sell off the division, or they don't make any consoles, or become just a game publisher, or
Sega
What
2.0.
is the definition? I'm going to ask you a very lawyer-like question. How are we defining screwed? And I know Liquidar is in the chat, so you're welcome to further refine this definition of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the other thing. Over at Digital Foundry, they have a weekly podcast. I love that podcast. Not subscribed, just saying, or not sponsored, just saying go subscribe. Anyway, they were talking about how, yes, a lot of people think the past couple console generations Xbox has been a failure. Which, I mean, if you look at, like, okay, who's sold the most to who sold the least, in that aspect, yes, but they've still sold like tens of millions of units, way more than the Steam Deck has ever sold and probably will ever sell.
What's the attach rate per game on the Xbox Series X?
Well, but I mean, either way, Microsoft isn't about selling the games; they're selling about trying to sell the console.
I think they want to sell the games because I don't think they make that much money on the consoles. Actually, Adam.
True. Yeah.
So it was more money in software. The margins are so much better, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know how you would define it, but like. Well, okay. Till we wait for Liquidar to chime in. What about the Xbox as in terms of a console, a piece of hardware? Is that screwed?
Oh, yeah. I do think that we are looking at the potential for reliably expecting a set Xbox console set of releases. I think we're probably about to see that change or even disappear. So I think one of the reasons why I still consider myself an Xbox fan, but I have become more of a PC gamer, is because I think I kind of sensed for a while that loyalty is not going to serve me as a gamer. I just need to go where my friends are. I just need to be where the games that I want to play are at the prices that I want to pay for them. It's really fascinating to me that I'm an Assassin's Creed franchise fan, and I'm not as much of the equivalent of a Call of Duty bro about Assassin's Creed as I used to be. So I'm actually behind on the catalog of games, but I do keep an eye out for sales, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, I haven't played the games in a while, so why pick it up right when it launches? I may as well get a sale. And I will tell you, more often than not, the sales are for PlayStation. I do not see the ones for Xbox go on sale as often. And that tells me something about the popularity and, probably even if they're going to make enough money to discount that, right? And so, yeah, the attach rate has gotten much lower for Xbox consoles, right? So, starting like 2013, when Microsoft bungled the launch of the Xbox One, or announcement rather, this tide started shifting then. And then with this latest one, it was pretty much like a 2-to-1 ratio. That was like even maybe a little bit more, that PlayStation, for every 2 PlayStation consoles sold, there was 1 Xbox console sold for this last generation. But as you said, though, that's still around, I think, high 30 million. Like my brain rounded it up to like, yeah, like my brain rounded it up to like 40 million, which isn't over the actual amount, but it's somewhere in that range. Whereas like, I think the latest number I saw, it was something like 82 million for PlayStation 5. So I think Microsoft is trying to keep themselves profitable with all the game studios they absorbed, the gigantic amount of buying that they did. So is the console screwed? Probably. Very likely, yes. Is Xbox, the brand itself, screwed?
Yeah, is there enough?
No,
is there
I
enough
think there-
stink on Xbox?
I think there would be a lot that would have to change for that subdivision to just suddenly disappear or like break
get
off
sold
into
off
separate pieces again.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it getting sold off, but the perception among indies is that the only way to make money on Xbox as a platform with the current gen hardware is to get a Game Pass deal. Like, you're not going to move enough units to make it worth porting to Xbox anymore, unless somebody's paying you to port to Xbox, which typically means a Game Pass deal. So like, their focus on services has trained their entire audience to just not buy games and only play what's on Game Pass. And
Yeah.
like, if your business is selling games, and also the accounting around how they make Game Pass profitable or not seems a little hinky. It makes more sense why they're putting Microsoft Game Studios games on PlayStation and PC, and things like that, so they can fund the development out of those platforms, and then Game Pass just gets free games, basically.
Yeah. I don't think that the Steam machine is necessarily the signal that the Xbox as a concept is screwed. I think Microsoft is its own worst enemy when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Game Pass, the service, this idea of services, like nothing but subscriptions and services as sustaining their model, I don't think that's going to work out for them, because when it's just a handful of subscriptions, people will subscribe. We have now reached the point of where everything is a subscription. So that's a lot of fatigue around that. Like, I know I've actually just this year alone, I've gone through my subscriptions and I've like culled quite a few. I had one that was like a 20-year-old subscription that
Wow.
I kept mostly out of nostalgia. It was like web hosting, and they had gotten like an insanely good deal at the time. And I actually haven't even used them as a web host really for like the last, honestly, decade. So I've just been paying them money out of pure emotion. Okay.
Well, that's nice of you.
Just because,
Keeping them
just
afloat.
because I like their
Now they're
business,
gonna go out of
because
business.
they've treated me well as a customer, because there's a lot of emotion
funny.
around that, right? And I looked at my bottom line and I was like, it's got to go. I've got too many subscriptions that I'm maintaining now, and all the costs of those are going up. And I think Game Pass is one of those things where it's like, yeah, in theory, it's nice to have access to like hundreds of games. But in the end, like, when my subscription runs out, I'm going to let it lapse, even though I've literally been subscribed to Xbox services, Xbox Live, for probably like 16 years. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's just not worth maintaining anymore. I'd rather just wait and get a game on sale for $50 even, and play it that way. Because in the end, it's going to be cheaper than paying like $30 a month face value. Even if I do like some kind of conversion deal again, it's still going to be probably close to like $17 to $20 a month. And that's still more
a lot of
than
money.
what I would actually end up playing in a year.
That's
Yeah.
like, I let my PlayStation and my Xbox subs lapse. I still have the Nintendo one because everybody in the family plays Animal Crossing and
it's actually
Mario
pretty
Kart
cheap
and stuff, and
considering,
it's like $70 a year or something. So yeah.
Well, speaking of subscriptions, Elena, you might be excited to hear what Satya Nadella talked about recently with an interview with Semi-Analysis. I don't know if you saw this, but they were essentially talking about AI and how Satya, is he the CEO, president? What is his role? CEO of
President.
Microsoft. Like what he sees as Microsoft. I don't have the official quote here, but essentially he was saying that he believes Microsoft will become an agentic infrastructure company, meaning their goal.
So he's just making up words and jamming them together.
Well,
now.
no, their goal is to create software and hardware for agentic AI services to use.
So what I'm hearing is sell your Microsoft stock.
So essentially, so Brian, friend of the show, Brian has a question. I'm just going to read. It's a little long. I'm not going to get into all of it. But with Satya's comments and Semi-Analysis that Microsoft will become an agentic infrastructure company, how would you feel if next year Microsoft were to announce that all Windows licenses are now bundled as a part of Microsoft 365 sub with no cost change, i.e., Windows 11 Home with Microsoft 365 Personal for the same $100 a year? Or if they remove the perpetual license option, would a gamer DIY built or Revolt be enough to have them reverse course?
So you're saying the question is, are they going to make your Windows license tied to an Office 365, Live 365 sub?
Which they could, because like I mean, if you look at the future, like Microsoft is like,
Well, they can't do it for the existing licenses because we signed a deal that said, "Hey, we have licenses." For
well, but I
this
just
would
like
be the Windows 12
in the
deal.
future, it seems like Satya is signaling that they're a service for AI, not for human users. And so, if the idea of them making money is to get subscriptions based off of people to use the OS as a service. You wrote about this. Game Pass as a service, AI as a service. Oh, hey, we got this bundle for you. What if we also put the OS license as part of Microsoft 365?
I think that would have really severe negative I mean, to be clear, that's what they do for enterprise users. Enterprise users pay an annual per seat Windows license cost, and then they also are paying for like with that comes Teams and Outlook and Exchange and OneDrive and all of that other crap that no one uses. I don't. This seems like a disaster, but I think they should do it. I think it'd be great to see. I think it'd be really fun. Give us a lot of like it's
Remember,
fantastic for us.
everybody,
Lots of stuff to talk about.
Disclosures. Not only would it give us fodder for the show, I would say that Will is somebody who is currently part of a Linux podcast, so he may have certain vested interests about the download of Windows.
More people who want to learn about dual booting. We're just asking questions over here, Elena. It's like, is Microsoft screwed? Yeah, I think maybe. I don't know.
Can somebody please? I think there's an article. I had it earlier and I lost it. If somebody could put that in the chat. But yeah, like it was a really weird. Like so the semi-analysis folks like were asking him like what that looked like, and he came out with this comment of like, oh yeah, no, we're here to build services for agentic AI to use, and yes, the person still is at the center of all the decisions and stuff, but they're working with the AI, and then the AI is working with us, Microsoft, like the semi-analysis people were like.
So
what
I'm hearing though is that they're saying, hey, we're going to let Windows do a bunch of stuff to your computer that you don't know what it's going to do and you're not asking it to do. And that to me seems bad.
Is it your computer anymore?
Well, I mean,
it's not your computer.
I'm running Linux on my computer, so it's fine. I just think like what Gordon used to call this kind of stuff fart sniffers, like when people are sniffing their own farts, like, oh man, that smells really good. Like this is the territory that we're in here with this AI stuff. Is everybody who uses Copilot is like, this makes me have less faith in the computer. That story came out yesterday, right? The more I use Copilot, the less I think the computer is doing things right. And they're like, we're doubling down on Copilot. This is fantastic. This is going to be great for Microsoft.
So there's a Verge article about this if you want to reference it.
Oh, is that where it was?
Okay, I knew I read it someplace.
I don't think it's the only one, but this one's written by Tom Warren, very long-time veteran of covering Microsoft and Windows. So if you're interested in this article, you can look up that one. It's not the only one.
What's the headline?
But Microsoft is turning Windows into, quote, an agentic OS, starting with the taskbar.
That's what it is. Yeah. So
there will be AI agents on the taskbar, Copilot in File Explorer, and much more. So I think that this is unfortunately, I don't know if it's necessarily just the fact that you could pass gas and then be like, it's not bad. It's great.
Pass gas.
Look, I can't say it directly because I'm going to start laughing because one of my nibblings said something the other day that was hilarious, and
Anyway,
I'm sorry, real quick. It was the Vergecast. I saw he spoke about it on the Vergecast.
I also think it's that when you probably invested this many millions, if not billions of dollars into a project, I think it's a little bit of sunk cost fallacy, right?
100%.
Where it's like, okay, well, we already invested in this. We got to see it through. If we give up on it too soon, it's just going to be this huge bust for us.
They don't want to Windows Phone it again, right? Like that's where they're at. They invented smartphones, and then Apple ate their lunch, and then Google ate their lunch, and then they tried again, and then they shut it down after 5 years.
But the problem is that it's Microsoft, so they've never actually understood how to really entice people into doing things that they want them to do. Like, honestly, it's funny that we were talking about Xbox now, because even though, yes, this is a PC hardware podcast, that the Xbox still has a lot of relevance to what we talk about in general with hardware, because It is one of the few initiatives that Microsoft didn't overly try to control. And it was almost like a skunkworks kind of project, right? And it was so wildly successful, I think, because of that. It didn't have this over corporatization of it. And meanwhile, their approach to AI, like phones, smartphones, is trying to go this whole thing like, let's just push it on you, let's just push it on you. And that is the best way to make somebody not want it or like it.
You're exactly right. Look at like the first two
I love hearing
Xboxes,
that.
and think about like the first Xbox, like, hey, we're going to put a hard drive in your console and you're going to do all this stuff and you're going to be able to download games. Great, whatever. The second one where they were like, hey, we're going to make voice chat like a default part of the experience. We're making it a multiplayer first console. We're giving you like presence features and all of this stuff that had never really been. They gave people a constant stream of dopamine through the achievement hits. Right. It's all.
Oh yeah.
It's all stuff that people were excited about, and like no one's excited about this stuff. No one is excited about this. No one is like, oh man, I thank God finally agentic AI is coming to my taskbar. At least it's opt-in. That's the one thing I'll give them.
Well, Glass Puppo makes a good point. I think people overestimate how much Microsoft cares about anything other than corporate/enterprise purchases, especially when they look at their quarter numbers, which is very true. Like we are a very small part. Like we, as in DIY desktop PC builders.
They're going to keep making it smaller if they keep behaving like this.
We are a small part of their overall thing. So, yeah.
So this is true. And I actually was going to say this when we were talking about it just a moment ago, that like, I think that as much as the users may end up hating this, that for people who are managing these kinds of things are going to seem appealing. It is going to be very difficult for them to leave Windows because you have much more control, I think. And I mean, we have a lot of people who use Linux in our chat, and I would love to hear from like system administrators, network administrators, all that kind of stuff, like who interface with like end users, not for managing like systems in the background, because I think that Linux does not have that same ecosystem in place. So it's going to be very hard to keep people from doing stupid things with their computers, right? Windows built that in there for IT professionals to better manage their networks or their deployments and all that. And I think a lot of these tools are actually meant to appeal. Like when I heard this initially, I heard it from the perspective of, oh, that's not for my side of the fence. That is for this other side of the fence that they're trying to talk to, because they're trying to, keep those licenses renewed, give them features that make them think like, oh, this is going to make my job easier, or this is going to reduce the amount of times that someone needs to call the help desk to find this or that, or I don't have to teach my users necessarily where to find certain things, or how to make their jobs easier. We won't have to pay for expensive certification or even training programs around certain things, right? I think the problem is that they are selling this vision, and the software is not where it needs to be for the users to buy into it. And I also think it's a little strange to me that they don't actually have a true separate feature release for their enterprise channel versus their consumer channel. Because like if this released to enterprise and you just had to deal with it at work, people probably would hate it less. But if we're just going to be inundated by this completely all the time as Windows users, this actually potentially, how annoying it ends up being, could push me to Linux just as a matter of course. Not because I want to be on Linux, but I do so little now that is like Windows specific, other than just, again, emotional comfort. I was subscribed to a web host for 20 years for emotional comfort, right?
Was it elenee.net?
No,
domain
I wasn't even doing anything with the hosting. I just was like, this is fun. This is a good deal. I experimented with it when I was younger. How to build a WordPress site, how to maintain it, realizing there's a lot of work and there's a lot of vulnerabilities. No thanks. And then just letting it all collapse. Because a lot of back then too, like we didn't have things like good photo hosting capabilities. So I actually had my own gallery. We didn't have Google Calendar even yet. So I had my own web dev server. Yeah.
Oh man, I love a web dev server. Yeah.
Nerd.
It's I mean, I think the kind of TLDR on this is either this is going to work out for them or it's not. and it's going to push a lot of enthusiasts and the people who care about this away, and it's going to make this accessible to the people who are looking at their Facebook feeds. They're like, man, I love these crazy. Where do they get all these crazy videos? These are great.
Yeah, you can make it right on your Copilot button.
Yeah, I don't know if you about you. You look at Facebook these days, and it's just like it's my parents and grandparents sharing increasingly insane, completely made up AI generated videos. So anyway,
dude, that's a whole separate rant and topic I want to get on, for one of the shows at some point, because I'm so mad that we had barely a century's worth of mostly reliable way to record events, to be able to prove that things happened, to recall how things actually were, because for centuries we did not have this. And then we ruined it. I shared a link to a video the other day to a friend, and I was like, look, isn't this really cute? Like, it's two cats like arguing with each other. And he's like, it's cats. AI. And I'm like, son of a... I got taken
sharing
in.
AI videos,
Gotcha.
Elena? Oh,
I know. I felt
Gotcha.
I felt actually so bad about this that I'm just like, well, I guess I'm just going to go out and touch grass now, because what's the point of being on the phone if it's just not
the full
real?
grass.
Look, the solution to this is to only ever share videos from the Full Nerd Network.
There you go.
It.
The Full Nerd Network.
That's 100%.
And PCWorld.
Are we
And
real, though?
PCWorld.
Or are we AI generated? People
well, you're on a
watching
screen.
don't
You
even
could
know.
be generated. I don't know. You could be fake.
I know.
Yeah,
We got a Threadripper system.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Falcon Northwest Threadripper
Why
system.
is that? I wonder what that fan was.
Yeah, it's just training.
Look, 8 seconds. That's the thing. If it's longer than 8 seconds, if the shots are longer than 8 seconds, you know it's good for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, right. Okay, I want to get to a question that I was hoping Brad was going to be around for, but he continues to run late. So at this point, I'm just going to bring it up. Friend of the show, Waffle asks, given the rising prices of RAM and storage, is now the best time for the foreseeable future to build a new PC with the outlook that GPUs will most likely experience a price hike in the coming months, and also DRAM prices just going through the roof? So I don't know if you saw, there was a report earlier. I'm sorry, I don't remember where I saw it, but essentially there was a report saying that all of the major GPU manufacturers are going to start scaling back production of low end graphics chips because of the RAM issues. Yeah, true. Yeah, so like should, if people are wanting to
the RAM issues are that AI data center growth is eating up the world's RAM supply.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it all.
Both DRAM and VRAM. So like I heard somebody talking about like VRAM was kind of segregated it from a little bit. Yeah, but now it's also starting to get into that. Anyway, so Elena, you are a price tracker. We're like, Black Friday and Cyber Monday is knocking at our door. Is now the time people should be hurrying and buying the PC hardware that they wanted, or should they just hunker down with what they got and try to ride it through? It
depends, right?
Oh,
so
perfect.
It always depends. I would say that if you have a decently recent system, maybe even like 2 years old, and you think that you can ride out this like craziness over a set of years, like maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't replace your system like until like 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, you'll probably be fine. You don't need to like panic buy, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of change that happens even in the next year or two that we won't be able to predict or know. I hope I don't have to go back and later eat crow over these words, but hopefully things, get sorted out by then. And to be frank, honestly, and this is a little bit of the doomsday part of me. It's like, look, if the AI bubble bursts and we all end up losing our jobs and we are in another Great Depression, I think not spending that money on a new system is probably going to be better anyway, because at least you'll have that cash for food.
But that cash won't be worth anything if the AI bubble bursts, so just buy seeds instead.
plant
you know what?
Seeds.
You can do that too. You hedge your bets, right? Plant your own little community
seeds,
garden.
Maybe some antibiotics, all the things that we'll need in the coming apocalypse. Thanks, AI.
I will say, though, that if you're planning to build if you've been like saving up and you've been thinking like, I'm about to pull the trigger, like now is probably going to be your best bet for buying things at prices we're kind of used to recognizing, because I don't know what to expect in 2026, but a lot of really smart people who track the economy and track the effect of things like tariffs have all said retailers have been stocking up on product so that the holiday season seemed, I think, reasonable, and so that they could probably make their Q4 numbers. Once all that stock runs out, they're saying that we will finally start seeing the real effect of the tariffs much wider across the board.
The hard rain is coming.
Yes, pretty much. So if you wanted to buy RAM, yeah, it sucks right now, but the shortages aren't going to get better. The demand is just so insane. And I wrote about this in the newsletter briefly because I pulled a couple links about this, and I forget which one. It was SanDisk who did it first, where they're like, we're going to redo our contracts and we're going to ask for 50% more. And all the other memory module makers were like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. Like, this is a really favorable time for us, isn't it? I think Transcend is the one that said that in more business speak.
Well, and usually RAM is not a competitive market in that way.
Yeah,
right? Like
and so the other thing too is that they're not looking to scale up production, because they're also really nervous too that because it's being all fueled by the AI boom or bubble, that if that bubble pops, they're the ones who are going to be on the hook for having scaled up their facilities and output. So they're not planning to increase supply much at all.
Brad
So,
didn't like this
TLDR.
conversation.
Brad just
He came in and he's like, you know what?
It's pretty
I don't want
grim.
to talk about any of this.
So
I think
TLDR, if
Yeah.
you want to build soon and you've been planning to, it's kind of like now is probably a good time to jump.
Look.
The other thing too is that I always recommend to during Black Friday, because the holiday shopping period is longer, or sorry, the return windows are longer. And if you can afford to do this, I want to stress, like if you're in a financial situation where you can do this comfortably and it's not going to add any more financial stress to your life, buy the stuff that you need. Don't open it right away, and see if the prices improve a little by January. If they don't, keep the product.
I'm just
If they
saying,
do, return or ask for a price difference credit.
Good point.
like, arbitrage that RAM because it's not getting any cheaper unless you're on DDR4, in which case your AM4 machine lives on because it's
is
still
DDR4
normal
not getting
price.
hit?
DDR4, 32
Oh, I thought
gigs,
DDR4 was getting worse.
$149,
Oh, that's
baby.
hilarious.
Yeah,
There we go. Now's
I mean-
a great time to buy an AM4 system. Boom,
Yeah.
bring it.
Those prices did rise, but the DDR5 is shooting up so fast that it kind of makes DDR4's
That's hilarious.
pricing seem, quote, reasonable, because it's like, oh, well, that's older RAM, so it makes sense that there's like
just
less
on the
of it and
shelf.
more expensive.
The crucial, like the cheapest DDR5 32 gig 16 gig kit 32 gig kit I can find is like $300 now for
It's nuts.
desktop.
That
RAM.
stuff was like $100.
Yeah, they were giving it away as like party favors when you went into walked
It was
into
a
Central and they were
bundle-
like, "Hey, you want
bundle
30 gigs
deals.
of RAM? Here you go. Buy a motherboard."
Like, I have been doing, so I don't know, for anyone who's kind of relatively new to the show or to PC World in general. So since I started at PC World in 2016, every Black Friday, I have done an article where I put together the cheapest gaming PCs, decent gaming PCs that you can build with Black Friday deals. I'm planning to still do it again this year, but it might be a really depressing article. I usually do like a 1080, 1440, and then like micro center special type like builds. Like, so I usually have like 3, sometimes even 4 variations. This year it might just be one big sad face, like sad emoji face with one sample build, because I'll be too disheartened to do it. But it's like a, what's the word I want to use? It's like a bellwether for the current environment and what the temperature read is for how things are going. So I like to do it as almost a way to track over the years, like, how is the economy looking? What is the state of PC gaming and the hardware available to us at different prices? How much value are you getting at $500 versus $800 versus, over $1,000 if I even go up that high?
It's wild.
It might be grim times for me this year.
Glass Popo says this year's budget build is a mini PC.
Yeah.
Just boom, buy a mini
Dude,
PC.
it
done.
might actually be that.
Oh, Brad's
What,
back.
what if
he
this
bought
year's
some
budget
RAM
build
and
is
he's
an
back.
Xbox Series X? Series S. You just put that in there. You're good to go. $200.
Yeah,
Done.
Bum. Yeah, do your taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Ding dong.
Oh, Brad's back.
Hi,
hey,
boss.
Brad's muted.
Brad is back.
And then
Okay, I can talk
Yeah.
enough for everybody today.
I'm back. My computer is unhappy today, so hopefully I'm back for the full.
sounds like you need more RAM.
Yeah, you should buy some RAM. It's a good
Yeah.
bargain
Bigger
right now.
hamsters.
Yeah. So Brad, you are, I don't know, but I bet you are neck deep in Black Friday execution. What does it look like out there, man on the street, Brad Charkis?
As far as the RAM and everything that everyone was just discussing, I would definitely buy RAM while you can. I wouldn't even wait for Black Friday.
Seriously.
We talked about it before for Prime Day, I think. We're already starting to see some pretty good OLED monitor deals. So that's something I'm pumped about.
Brad's breaking up here. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
We're going to need you to repeat that you just said because you're breaking up. Oh, no.
I can say,
Frozen.
yeah, he's, to
Sorry.
sum it up, he said go to PCWorld.com.
Can you hear me or no?
Yep.
Brad,
Yep,
Brad
we can
got
hear you.
crowd striked.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
Oh.
Cloudflared.
Cloudflare Brad Charkis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's something's messing up my Cloudflare's working at my work laptop today.
There you go. Yeah, still screwy. But yeah. So I think the other hard part too is like this second half of this year has been a bad spot for PC hardware.
I mean, it seems like the last decade has been a bad spot
Well,
for PC hardware.
No,
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 not at all.
no. That's not true at all.
I mean-
not the decade.
Yeah. No.
I mean, if it started in
if you think-
2016, crypto, and then we go forward through pandemic, and then we had like six
No, there's
or
good
eight good
stuff.
months last year, and now it's back to garbage time.
It's been quiet. It's been quiet. Yeah.
Well, I
So,
think there's multiple tracks to that, right? Where it's the releases versus the market conditions and availability, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we have seen some really good movement on strides in increasing performance and what like the value that we're all getting as consumers, because before Ryzen launched, like it was pretty grim in terms of like the performance we were getting as consumers. So that improved dramatically. But I think a lot of the market conditions have made it difficult for us to enjoy that because of the crypto stuff, because of the pandemic stuff, because of the economic,
AI boom.
the AI boom, economic stuff, including the tariffs in the US. So that is now actually affecting what we're seeing on the consumer side, right? Because we're not really seeing much attention paid anymore to the budget end, the lower end. It's all just higher end stuff.
Yep. Craziness. Brad, you still with us?
I think you said in
I'm
Slack-
here.
oh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can hear you. Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
You're still a little choppy.
You should consider
Okay.
Linux.
I can
Brad.
bounce off too. Yeah, no, an update today, something broke stuff.
Great. Love it. Perfect. Brad, real quick, high level since you weren't here last week. Steam Machine, thumbs up, thumbs down. You excited? No?
I cannot wait to buy one. I'll be a day one purchaser probably.
Were you a day
Ooh.
one purchaser of the Steam Deck?
I was not, but I have one now, and I'm a believer. So I'm totally in for that under my TV.
Okay. Nice.
Like I said, I just sold my Xbox Series S. Yeah, when they jacked the price of Game Pass up to $30 a month. So I got a spot ready for it already. So
Yeah, you got a HDMI cable just dangling right there, just
Nice.
ready to be plugged in. Nice. All right. And then let's get a couple more
Let's
questions.
get to question number 4, 3. What are we on now?
What?
4?
We're 10,000. We're
Okay.
so many questions. Here's a good question from friend of the show, Cause MC. Will,
What
that
up?
may be even Brad. Explain the difference between game code and engine code.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know what that means.
So engine code is the stuff that Unreal or Unity or Godot or whoever provides.
Okay.
And it's basically a framework that you hook in all the other stuff that you do. So you build an animation, you build each game. The reason that games take a long time and are hard to make is that, as opposed to like a web app or an app for your phone or something like that, is that when you download, say, React, which is a web framework for building web pages, right? It has all the HTML generation stuff, and it tells you what to do with images, and it has how to deal with scrolling and all that stuff built in. If you're taking Unity or Unreal and you start with a blank project, then it has a series of APIs that can connect to each other and connect to like 3D accelerators. And there may be some network pipes and stuff like that in and out, but probably not. And then you have to build everything else. So you have to define, like starting with gravity and physics, you have to start from there and work your way up and build the entire game from basically zero principles. All the engine is providing is basically plugins that make it relatively easy for you to put your game to interface with like platforms like PlayStation and Xbox and Switch. And maybe middleware like audio engines or networking providers or cross-play libraries that will let you do like multiplayer. Like PlayFab is a good example. That's the Microsoft thing that like Helldivers uses to do cross-play with all the platforms that Helldivers is on. So game code then is the stuff that defines the game. It defines what's going on inside the game. So like that's the loop that you define for every frame generated. You have a loop that runs basically, and it will generate. It draws the picture of the frame. It draws what's on the screen. It simulates the physics. It simulates the gameplay stuff. It replicates the network stuff that's coming in from a multiplayer game. It does all of the stuff that makes the game a game. For example, and that like you see that in places like if you have a multiplayer game, you have to define which objects in the world are replicated for all the players across the network, right? So I was playing Power Wash Simulator with the Nextlander guys on Monday, and I picked up a gnome in the game, and the gnome very clearly wasn't replicated across the network, the movement of the gnome, even though it was a physics object.
Gnome?
No, this is just a gnome. It's a little concrete guy. And what that meant was I was able to see it moving on my screen, but the people I was playing with saw it in the original place that it was, and also they couldn't interact with it because the server thought it wasn't there, but their clients didn't, and everything got out of sync, and it created a whole series of downstream consequences that it was good. It was the
Sounds like
stream
fun.
when I did this. It was a fun bug. But the point is the game code is what is specific to the game. Now, it gets a little fuzzy because like you can buy a license for Unreal that gives you access to source code, or maybe they even just give that away as part of the main licensing terms now. So that means you can change the code of Unreal if you have something you want to integrate or you want to do something that it doesn't support out of the box. That also means that every time they release a new update and you want to move to the new version of the engine, you have to backport that fix, or you have to port that fix into the new version of the engine, which is like signing yourself up for a pretty substantial amount of work. So it's generally better to build on top of the engine and write all of your game code as standalone. Like you don't want to rewrite the sound engine or the networking code or whatever, unless you're a giant AAA studio and have hundreds of people working on a project.
Well, so practically speaking, when something comes out and people yell that it's unoptimized,
they don't know what they're talking about.
Okay. Well, is it the game code or the engine code?
They don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know what they're talking about.
It's really hard for you to tell that from the outside without having access to debug builds and stuff like that. So people don't like Unreal 5 right now because a couple of big YouTubers yell about Unreal 5 being unoptimized. And
it seems like each Unreal, to be fair, the shader compilation stutter is something Digital Foundry talks about all the time, and it's present in almost every single Unreal Engine 5 game.
But also Unreal Engine is a huge amount of the market. It's present in a bunch of other games too. The big thing that UE5 has done, which is both really good and causes problems, is that they've set up a pipeline for art assets so you can bring in art assets that aren't ready for a game. So like if you think about a game character, it's going to have maybe 10,000 polys, right? But if you want to bring in, or if a rock that's in the world would have a few thousand polys maybe. If you want to, you can bring in these 3D scans of ground and rocks and trees and terrain and all this stuff that have millions and millions of polygons, or maybe even are just point clouds, right? And Unreal will munge those down into game-compatible assets without you really having to do a whole lot. Now, is it foolproof? Does it work perfectly every time? No, not really. Do you have to go through and look at the stuff and make sure the end results both look right and behave right? Yes, 100%. Do you still have to do things that are stupid, like texture atlasing, where you take all the textures that are used in a level in a game and put them on one big giant texture, and then you just call out the specific bits of the texture inside that because it's much easier to load one huge texture than 1,000 tiny textures. Yes, you still have to do the stupid stuff. Is that a thing that a lot of developers don't bother doing now because games just kind of run pretty well on most hardware? Yeah, probably.
Is that why we have the 8 gig VRAM limit problems?
No, the 8 gig
loading the whole piece of.
No, the running the ray tracing stuff, the 8 gig VRAM limits almost always seem to be with ray tracing games because the ray tracing algorithms take up a buttload of memory.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome,
Mr. Developer himself.
Yeah,
Will Smith. I got a question.
Right at our table.
Yeah, I got a question for Brad. Brad, did you know that I got in the latest and hottest new GPU? It's
I did not.
Brand new.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Here we go. I just got this in. This is a Velocity 4400. It's a high performance 128-bit 3D/2D accelerator. This is brand new in box.
16
That's a
megabits.
Riva TNT 128 card. That is a banger card.
It's an Nvidia Riva TNT 128 twin Texel processor. I don't even know what a Texel is, but it sounds like the future.
If you played Quake on that, the group gaps between polys and the wall would have giant holes in them. You could see through into space outside the video game level.
This comes with software drivers for Windows NT4, Windows 95 and 98, DirectX 5 and 6, Direct Video and ActiveX, Direct Draw, Direct 3D, as well as OpenGL.
Are you thinking of making a retro build?
No. So this is I was once again over at Gordon's family's house, kind of going through, trying to organize all the stuff he had, and yeah, he had this brand new inbox GPU, and I thought this was fun. Does anyone have history with this card? Do you know anything about this card?
I sold a bunch of those cards to people who were
What?
So when I was in college, I built PCs for people. I put up photocopied things on phone poles around the university that said, "Hey, do you need a gaming PC for school?" And I put a pull code thing, my phone number on it, and people would call my phone number, leave a message, and be like, "Yeah, I need a gaming PC." And then I'd like take the hardware I had laying around the apartment, jam it into a PC, and sell it to them for $1,500 or whatever. The cost of the hardware plus like 25-30%. I could have been Michael Dell, but I stopped doing that because it was an enormous pain in the butt, and everybody always wanted support. It turns out.
Remind me, the Riva TNT was when Nvidia was bad.
This was the first good NVIDIA card,
but
it
was
shipped with really bad drivers and a terrible OpenGL implementation. So that's why, like famously, the first OpenGL driver that they shipped had like it didn't make the polygons in the walls touch each other, so there were gaps in between them. You just see gray dead space in the walls. It was really weird.
Yeah, it's sealed in box.
It's the Quake joke.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of want to open it, but I don't.
Don't
Don't worry. It's got free software inside. It's got a full version of Forsaken. Do you remember Forsaken?
Oh, yeah.
One of the best multiplayer action games ever. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Oh, look at this. They have benchmarks right on the box. Bring back benchmarks on the box.
The bars are bigger
for
this one.
The Velocity 4400 in 3D WinBench 98 performance gets a score of 1600, where the Viper V550 got 1460, the Monster 3D2 got 1120, and the Millennium G200 got 1100. I don't even know these other GPUs.
Millennium is a Matrox. What were the other ones?
Monster 3D2 and Viper
that's a Voodoo 2
V550.
card. And Viper V550 is a rendition Verite, I believe. Oh no, that's an Intel i550 probably. The question is, this predates DirectX, so there was no Direct 3D at the time this card came out.
No, it says Direct 3D right here.
Oh, so it was the Direct 3D one that like 8 games shipped for. Yeah,
DirectX 5 and 6.
Oh, okay.
Direct Video
Later
and
than I
ActiveX,
remembered then.
Direct Draw.
Yeah.
What's all these direct things?
DirectX 5
Yeah.
was the good one.
Do you like the box? Do you like the helicopter on the front?
It's
not like a 3D animated lady, but it's still pretty cool.
This is before that era.
Really?
Kind
Little
of. Yeah.
Like when to me in my memory, which may or not be accurate, but a lot of the boxes early on to me was more about like things exploding, action, let's go,
Yeah.
and then it became a little more adult
here's a cool robot. Here's the Creative Labs cards all had weird voodoo witch doctor guys on them that were kind of, in retrospect, maybe not super sensitive to. Anyway, yeah.
Devonish says that STB, which is the maker of this card, got eventually swallowed up by 3D Effects and then got swallowed up by Nvidia.
Yeah,
so,
Brian Burke was at STB back at this time.
So I have no idea why Gordon had this in his collection and why it was unopened.
Probably was in the Maximum PC lab when he left Maximum PC, if I had to guess.
You think so?
Yeah. We didn't get box cards all that often, but often people would send stuff. We'd put out a call for like, hey, we have a 2-page, roundup for this new GPU. Send us your cards, and if we said somebody could have a spot and somebody else got the card there, and theirs was late, then we would have to swap them up.
I got to point to a couple more things real quick. It's got 128-bit SD RAM, comes with 16 megabytes of incredibly fast memory. It's a PCI bus, no E.
That was an
connector.
SDR DRAM, just to be clear, the incredibly fast memory.
Also, it's got an S video output, baby. My favorite video connection type, S video.
Plug that into your TV.
Yeah,
That was an upgrade for the time.
S video. I love S
and
video.
The neat thing about this is you could play Quake in a window. You could play GL Quake in a window.
You couldn't play a game in a window?
Not
before?
on a Voodoo card because they used
Really?
a pass-through. Yeah,
Oh.
so you had to take over the full display for a Voodoo card, exclusive full screen.
Anyway, there we go.
Is this PCI? It's not the AGP
PCI,
version?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's
Yeah.
plug and play. It's plug and play. Brad, what era was your first GPU that you remember buying?
I don't know. When I was younger, I was pretty poor, so I would just buy like secondhand PCs or use friends and stuff like that. So
It didn't
I
have the
couldn't
box.
even tell you. Right around. I don't know. I've been playing games forever, but I can't remember my what I had when I was younger.
No worries. Anyway, just a fun.
I
fun
can sit here. I
history
remember
moment.
playing Rise of the Triad and Descent and stuff like that. I just totally forget which graphics cards I had in my PC at the time.
Nice. Okay. Anyway, let's get to a couple more questions, then we get out of here.
Does it mean lunchtime?
Lunchtime.
Oh, that's exciting.
Lunchtime. Let me find it really good. Okay, here we go. Voice Calo asked which one will succeed better in x86 to ARM translation, Valve with their FEX Proton or Microsoft with Prism?
I don't even know why we were answering this question. Like, Microsoft's translation layers have not been fantastic to date. I think Snapdragon's doing better at making chips that can run those translation layers, but I don't know. I put my money on Valve at this point. They have a pretty good track record.
Same here.
Microsoft's continuing to be second best at a category.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Burned. Got him. Friend of the show.
Spicy
Yeah,
today.
it is. Friend of the show, Glass asks, with most modern chipsets only leaving 4 to 8 spare lanes of PCIe, after 16 to 4 go to the GPU and primary SSD, why is ATX still the main form factor that companies push? Is it because they can charge more for the features in the bigger board, ease of installation for the consumer, or is it ATX spec secretly applying a tariff to all non-ATX motherboards and PSUs?
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Bigger board better.
Elena.
I saw that question and I thought, is that Gordon? Like, did he just find a way to come back? To just ask that question
It's a
periodically?
really good question. Yeah.
It's like a Wednesday style fugue.
I mean, and 'cause-
Yeah, pretty much.
And
We
then
were
they look
just-
up and they're like, what did I just type?
We were just talking about like PCIe lanes with your capture cards.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, sweet.
So
That's another great thing about being able to plug in a capture card via USB now is that you open up some PCIe lanes. What do you need all those PCIe lanes for?
Well, I have 4 SSDs in my computer, which is
Okay,
probably a mistake. But yeah, we like I literally have a slot on my motherboard that's split lanes between the third PCI Express slot and an NVMe slot. So my NVMe in that slot I named Slowy McSlowerson, so I remember that it's the slow one.
That's
And I
Put a
don't.
sticker on it?
Huh? No. I don't.
Like
I
a sticker
actually,
on it?
I don't know which physical slot it is. I'd have to look at the motherboard manual, but I know that Slowy McSlowerson is the buy 2 guy. But then when I took out the capture card to come in and shoot this video, and I fired up, I copied some of the numbers. I was like, this is going really fast. And I was like, oh right, the card's not in there, so it's not splitting those PCI Express lanes anymore. So plugging into the USB port on the back is actually improving my performance of my SSD. There you go.
Look at that.
It's not in the video.
All those
We
PCI
recorded the
links.
video last week.
Yeah,
So
we did. Yeah,
Oops.
over on PCWorld.
PCWorld.
I guess the answer to the actual question was that no, I don't think there's some secret cartel that's controlling all this. I think that,
that
as
she's
we've
willing to
discussed-
discuss, or
Yeah, I mean, like they know where my family is. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
As we've discussed many times on the show, though, that there's just been so much investment in ATX that it's going to take quite some kind of very dramatic change, like hardware, like, I don't know, advancement, or knock on wood that this does not happen, but like just like all the factories are just wiped out in some kind of like catastrophic event and they have to rebuild, right? So there has to be a reason why people would shift off of it, because it's just too expensive and too time consuming to move to a new standard at this point. For most people, for most businesses looking at their bottom line, right, and trying to figure out like, how they're going to get through the year or to the next quarter even. So even though there's a lot of good reason to change and upgrade and, make it possible so that we don't have to think about like our PCI lanes getting split between different slots now. I don't think we're going to see much change in near future or even potentially like medium future.
It's also so much like Gordon always used to say this, and he was yanking your chain mostly at him, but it's also a lot easier to build into an ATX machine than an ITX machine. Because I assume that's the question, is why aren't we doing ITX since most people only have one thing in a
or
slot?
even MATX too.
Yeah. MATX isn't a real thing. I've never
micro
seen one of
ATX
those before, I don't think.
Micro ATX is still pretty common for like cheaper boards.
Oh.
And like you'll see those more for like regions too that, they don't need all those lanes and slots, and because it shaves down the production costs. It's ITX that's really the expensive one.
Yeah. Because they know they got you.
Gotcha.
If you want a little guy, you got to pay the little guy tax.
It's not that hard to build anymore. It's open.
It's hard to build. It's just more expensive.
It's more
Cut myself every time
Yeah.
I've tried to build an ITX machine.
Get better.
Except for that plastic
get
one.
good.
When was the last time you did it though?
A couple weeks ago.
Really?
That
you're
plastic machine.
You're still sacrificing to the gods?
I mean, always be sacrificing. That's how the machine.
Well,
that's why the machines always work.
The plastic had some sharp
The
corners.
plastic one was
'Cause it
sharp as
plastic,
hell. Yeah.
It was plastic though, so it's
I also
it was
broke
free.
a piece off.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did. Anyway, last question now I'm going to get to here. Brad, we review a lot of laptops over on PCWorld.com, so I'm going to feed this to you first. From Hampo Campo. What happened to thick laptops with proper keyboards and plenty of ports? Is thin and light really the only style that sells well? I know there have been some desktop replacement style laptops with mechanical keyboards in the past, but those are really expensive and huge. I just want a 90s style brick with modern hardware.
I want my thing chonky, but not too chonky.
Yeah.
give me my luggable.
They want the chonk. Brad.
You can still find gaming laptops that have pretty beefy specs and like mechanical keyboards and stuff. The size it sounds like you're looking for, which is an interesting way to shop for hardware, but I kind of dig it. But they tend to be like $2,000 to $4,000 higher end machine at this point. Like the big trend is lighter, thinner notebooks because then you can actually carry it around and play it.
Yeah, I think really the heart of it is like we're sacrificing, right? We're either sacrificing keyboard space, we're sacrificing ports, we're sacrificing cooling power, whatever in these kind of laptops. But I mean, if you obviously there's the big Dell XPS. Well, it's not even XPS anymore. I don't remember what it's called now. But Spectres, whatever, the real thin and light, sexy laptops that are out there. But usually you look down at a more mainstream range, like a ThinkBook or a Dell Inspiron kind of thing. I don't even know if Inspiron's a line anymore. But usually those are actually thicker kind of systems. Just they're cheaper. Not in a bad way, but like they're more budget friendly anyway. So like I think they're just that's the problem, is they're usually aimed more at budget entry level stuff, so they don't have the highest end specs or like really awesome screens and stuff like that. It's hard.
I saw somebody who had
that's-
done. Oh, sorry, Brad.
I was gonna say that's actually a big part of the reason why I believe so strongly, and especially laptop reviews, because until you like actually use the keyboard on a laptop, it's impossible to tell how good it is. So that's where I personally find a lot of value, since I can know all the internals and get a gist for how it runs to begin with.
I saw somebody on one of the Reddits that I follow, one of the maybe a Cyberdeck Reddit or something, who had built what was basically a luggable, like a 80s, 90s style luggable PC with a small form factor that had a portable monitor that folded up, that they mounted on the top of the case, and a keyboard that folded down. And I was like, and I can't find it, but it was amazing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sounds dope.
Not a real product, but
Yeah. Okay. Actually, one more question that we got here just came in. It's a good one. Hot off the presses. Abe Heck G asked, do you think HEDT is dead because of Ryzen X3D? As in, you can no longer build a single PC that's the very best of both gaming and memory/GPU heavy workloads, which necessitate more memory channels and PCI lanes. For that matter, AMD has X3D Epics, but not Threadrippers. I wonder why.
what's high-end desktop?
Yeah, like
terminal?
Threadripper, you know, like
Xeon Threadripper on the desktop.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Workstations.
yeah. Think it's
No,
dead? No.
I think it's actually better than it was for a while. We actually for a while declared HEDT to be dead because AMD completely pulled Threadripper for a generation or two, and Intel just hasn't even looked at it, I think, in 5 years now. So at one point it was dead, but then, you know, AMD brought it back. Yes, ideally, hopefully some of those motherboards would have higher memory capabilities, like be able to hold more RAM kits in there. But I can get why they saved that for Threadripper Pro. They have to diversify somewhere. I think if you're looking for like the true spirit of a high-end desktop, like it's what you traditionally think of a HEDT, I think modern Threadripper still largely hits that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. We have some lunch to get to. Thanks for joining us, Brad. I appreciate it.
No problem.
No,
my laptop did
no
not want
fun
it to happen.
Yeah. You got
No
ironed
fun
out.
questions?
You've been pretty good. Yeah. No. I mean, do you have one? Do you have? I mean, yeah. Nothing super
okay,
crazy.
sure. I have
Oh.
one as the resident. Oh, did you find one?
I think.
No.
Are we looking at Starscream or Star Shrieks?
No, I was gonna just
Oh.
completely just like riff on my own.
Please, riff.
Oh, okay. As the resident Black Friday resident person who stocks up on socks during Black Friday, what socks are you buying during Black Friday this year?
Trick question.
I try to rock slippers and sandals as much as I can. I try not to wear socks. It's hard up here in New England, but I get through most of the year with it. I just got some insulated slippers my girlfriend got me, actually. It's great.
Brad anti-sock. Dang. Oh.
You must have
Will
one.
was
no.
take off his shoes.
I had to look and see what brand of socks I'm wearing these days.
Will was trying to take
What
off his
did I
shoes,
do?
audio
What
listeners.
did I cause?
I'm
Stinking up the room now.
Smell that. Oh,
I got
that's horrible.
Look, I got sweaty boot foot. I'm sorry. Okay. I like Darn Toughs. I've been buying Darn Toughs. They're expensive, but they come with a real long warranty. And when I have had a hole come up in one of them, I sent them a note, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll send you a new pair of socks. We got you."
Great.
Great.
Here,
Yeah,
you wanna
that's
see?
really good.
Here, I can
Nope.
show you.
Nope, I can smell it. I can smell it from here. Willis, you plan on buying any socks?
Yeah, now that Elena mentions it,
Don't smell bad, just for the record.
Horrible.
Sure.
For the record, they're horrendous.
Yeah, I do like fun socks. So especially like socks that are a little bit more vibrant. Was it last year? Diana got me a socks from London. It was a Godzilla holding a briefcase going to work. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cute.
I like those.
Pretty good. I like a party sock.
I have a headache now. I'm sorry.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's just, whew.
All right.
Says the guy who purposely sniffs.
I know.
Yeah, you're huffing flux over there.
Yeah, I love it. That's the good stuff.
If my feet smelled like burning electronics, you'd be right there.
Here's an idea, Adam. Go sniff some thermal paste right now to balance it out.
Yeah, we're gonna need it. Yeah, we're gonna need to burn some incense in here or something. Anyway, check back next week for your fix of PC talk here on the Full Nerd.
Also, sock business apparently.
Yeah, it's gonna be a short week, but we're still gonna have a normal episode, right? Are you guys able to join us on the remote?
We hope so. We
Yeah.
plan to.
Because
Yeah,
of Black Friday,
hopefully.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it should be.
Okay. Yeah. So check back next week for your fix of PC talk here on The Full Nerd. If you want to tune in to the live stream, you can go subscribe over on the Full Nerd Network on YouTube. We go live at roughly 11 a.m. Pacific every Tuesday. Show up, hang out in the chat. It's always a good time. I appreciate it. But if you can't, that's fine. The recorded version stays up on YouTube. Or if you just want to listen to us, you want to get us in your ears, then go over to anywhere that you can find RSS feeds that point to, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Deezer, Pocket Casts. Pocket Casts, my favorite. iHeartRadio. Any of those, we should be there. And if we're not, let us know. But if you're over there, please, let's make a concerted rush towards the end of the year to get some more hearts, some more thumbs ups, likes, ratings, reviews, whatever we can over on there. It's great to see the goodwill that people bring, and also, well, hopefully we'll get better algorithm boosts, whatever, to get more people to find the show. Also, did you know that there's a third way you can consume The Full Nerd, and that is via a newsletter, which, Brad, before you came in, not only are we going to make a podcast of that newsletter from the official podcast, we're also going to start printing them here at the office printer, and we're going to send them out as zines. Zines, yeah.
Gotta go where the people are, man.
There you go.
Zines.
Yeah. So the Full Nerd in
We'll be
almost
at the CD
every way.
store,
Yeah.
on the little rack by the checkout. You pay $1 and get 3 of them.
Listen, there is a vinyl record store that I frequent often. I'm sure I can be like, hey,
there
can I put my my stack of zines over here?
They look at you like, what the hell are you talking about?
They're like, what is it about? Is it
Zine?
about music? Nah, it's about PC hardware.
Yeah, it's the only way to get
Real
that
nerd
information
stuff.
out.
Yeah.
Just don't put it in every business bathroom stalls.
No, we should do that
But-
too.
We should take them up on the back of the door.
Yeah.
I'm not local to San Francisco, so if I can't get these local zines, where could I find whatever you're printing out?
Well, you could also go over to PCWorld.com/newsletters with an S/sign up. And there you can sign up. You just put in your email address. No credit card, no social security number. Just put in your email address. Sign up for the appropriate newsletters. Obviously, we're talking about the Full Nerd here, but there are other fine PC World newsletters. And you get a fresh, hot article in your inbox every Friday, and maybe printed later, or maybe in your ears later as a podcast form. So,
Oh no.
yeah, it's really good. Elena, every week when it hits my inbox, I'm like, woo! Here's a new thing to read. It's a good
Did you
time.
really make that sound? That's a pretty good sound.
Yeah, I'll record it next time. Anyway,
Oh, just
Yeah,
say
no,
real
no,
quick.
please.
Also, just celebrated 6 months last week.
6 months,
Ooh,
nice.
Congratulations.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wow, it's been
So
that
thank
long.
you to everyone who's been hanging out with me for 26 weeks so far.
That's
I haven't
awesome.
missed a single one.
That is consistency. That's what you need out of your content lifestyle, is a consistent newsletter.
I just want to know when the podcast is going to launch with this newsletter. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, consistently asking.
Mystery.
Anyway, I want to thank the co-host Brad Charkis for showing up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great time today. It feels like we just started. This is
It's a
awesome.
good time. Yeah, let's just keep going. I also want to thank one Elena Yee for
That's me.
ranting. You'll have to bring your other rant
I
next
did
time
have a
too.
couple of mini rants in there. I have a question for you, Adam.
Okay.
Before we go,
Yes.
we are approaching the end of the year. Do we have
Yes.
anything special planned before the new year?
We do. Well, let's see. Let's look at the calendar. We got so the 25th. That's next Tuesday, and then the 2nd, which is next Tuesday, and then the 9th. Okay, so we got 3 more normal-ish episodes, and then we have our 2 episodes that end of the year. So the 16th should be the time that we will
Predict
no,
things?
no. We make the best of the year. We vote on it. We've got categories. I think we should relook at the categories. Maybe shuffle some things up.
Since there was
have
no
some fun with
hardware
that.
launched
Well,
this year.
that too, yeah. So
Gosh, it's been so bare
yeah.
this year.
that'll be real fun. Yeah.
Wait, did 5090 come out this year?
Yes. All the 50 series did come
And
out
the
this year.
AMD GPUs came out this year. And
AMD,
and Battle Mage came out this year? Yeah, Battle Mage came out last
No,
year.
B580 came out in December. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It's been a long road.
well, yeah. I guess we'd have to go back and look. It might have come out after we did the episode, so technically maybe I don't know. Anyway,
What
and
about best thing AI ruined as a category?
Perfect.
RAM
Let's put it up.
prices.
If you have ideas for categories,
Words on the internet.
tell us over
video
on
on the
Discord.
internet. Yeah.
And then also, so then the next week, the 23rd is our last episode of the year. We will be looking at the predictions from last year, which I have not looked at yet, and I'm very curious.
I'm wildly
And then
curious.
making predictions for next year. Of course, we will be eating our words if we got them wrong. We will physically be punishing ourselves. I need to figure out how I'm going to punch myself this year. And then, yeah, so essentially then we'll be off for that week after Christmas because we're all off. And then that week after that is woohoo, we're right into CES. So
Yay.
that'll be the 8th when we come back. So yeah, stuff cooking on the back end. Good times. Thank you. Also, thank you, one Will Smith, for hanging out here at the desk. No thank you for taking your shoes off. I did not
I
appreciate
just
that.
wanted to see what kind of sock I had.
It's great.
I
Great.
often walk around the lab. Like Gordon was always a no sock, no shoes guy at the office back in the old days.
I still have his flip flops over there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, especially given the amount of stuff on the floor in the office. So,
Yeah.
I'm just getting you toughened up. You got to get back in fighting shape.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. And I'm going to thank Willis Live for controlling the verticals, horizontals. Real quick check in. Any problems with the stream?
Hamster Steve's running smooth today.
Bam.
Hammering.
Okay. I think we might have figured it out.
Yeah.
You got a bad
curse
morning.
Yeah. Before it does drop, get us out of here.
All right. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in with us. I actually almost forgot. We do have a deals alert and deals discussion over on our Discord. So if you find any good deals on, pretty much anything from RAMs to even fun socks, let us know in Discord over there. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.